Holy crap.
People persist in doubting the evidence.
Don't run and hide. Don't be afraid. Don't turn away any longer. The truth will set you free. You're listening to Jimmy Church Fade to Black on the Dark Matter Radio Network.
We're turning all of our antennas towards Jimmy Church on Dark Matter Radio.
And now, your host, the captain of conspiracy, the prince of paranormal. This ain't your daddy's radio network show. This is Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Did it to that. What's up? Hey now, let's go. It is Fade to Black. Call in Thursday. That's what it is. Bespoke radio for the masses. This is for you. Today's Thursday, August 21st, 233 days into the new year. Live from the JP Motorsports Studios right here in sunny Burbank, California for KJCR and the Dark Matter Radio Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Freedom of speech, man. All geeked up and ready to go. Need to take a picture of the shirt I'm wearing. How is everybody doing? Big salute to the proud men and women in uniform. It's all about freedom of speech. That's what this show is all about. Check this out. I got this email today. It said, dude, you're calling Thursday shows, man. It's everybody that you know. And I write, and I'm just like, what are you doing even writing this to me? Everybody's family here, man. So I know, 200 Fadernauts by name. That's how we do it here, man. This is family. So, shall I post his email? Oh, man. Just don't get it. It's just really funny. Hilarious. All right. Except for the guy that just tweeted, he's Russian. I don't know his name because I don't read Russian. So I will say this. Post your name, man. Somebody help me out. Hey, Ree. Tweet his name so we know. All right. The call-in number tonight is 323-825-5045. You can also Skype in. Skype into Fade to Black 14. All one word. Look it up, deal with it, get it done. Follow, like, subscribe. Come in to hang out with us over on Twitter tonight. It's a fun night. I so look forward to this evening. It's the highlight of the week. Had a pretty cool week here too. Wow, pretty cool week. All right, I'm zipping back and forth between Twitter. I want to see our Russian friend, what his name is, his first name. Today, check this out. Yesterday we had Robert Plant. Oh, I want to address the, I made a mistake last night in the Luckiest Man Alive game. So I need to clarify because I got a phone call today from a friend that was listening to the show and said, Church, that's not how we played the game. I was like, oh, okay, it's Alexander. It's not Russian, it's Serbian. And same alphabet, though. Yes, okay, so that's Alexander. Yes, thank you, Alexander. All right. Yesterday it was Robert Plant. Today, for me, big one today. Oh, man. As if Robert wasn't big enough. Today, check this out. My friends, today we say happy birthday to another great, for sure. James Burton, 75 years old. known as the Master of the Telecaster. Played for Elvis from 1969 to his death in 1977. And James on all of the video, all of the cool Las Vegas stuff, Aloha from Hawaii, all of the movie, all that stuff, everything. That's Burton standing there with that rock star stance. He had the stance, man. All guitar players, I don't care if it's Eddie Van Halen or just anybody, any guitar player looked at James and said, if I could look half as cool as that, my life is complete. James had the stance. Not only that, he could play. Happy birthday, James. 75 years old. The one thing I always think about when I think of James Burton, and you watch Elvis, watch all of those concerts, was Elvis, man, total respect, because every time James would solo, it was his turn during a song. Elvis would turn to him and just say, "Play it, James." And that's how great James was. James Burton, 75 years old, a serious guitar player. Happy birthday. All right, follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio, hashtag DMRadioNet. Come hang out. When I say that, we call it the sandbox. Come hang out. Install TweetDeck. That's what you need to do. Get a couple of columns going. And come hang out with all of us. It's a fun night. Tonight's a great night. All of the family is here, and we just hang out all night. Take calls, talk, chat. All right? I'm going to open up the lines at the bottom of the hour. Somebody's going to try to call in before then, I'm sure. But here we go, Blink. Oh, man, I got stuff to say. All right. You know what? Just out of respect, it is Open Lines Thursday. Somebody just wanted to get in right now. Let's just do it. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black with Jimmy Church. Open Lines Thursday. Who's calling? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Jimmy, this is Norick in San Antonio, Texas.
Norick in San Antonio, Texas. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. I wanted to bring up a topic that it's been on my mind for a couple of weeks, and it's kind of my perception and a concern.
What's that?
Okay, so my perception is disclosure is here. It's already here. Disclosure is you and me and all the scientists that come on your show, all the doctors, all the chemists, all the scientists.
Sure.
Even the Vatican in 2012 says, hey, you know what? There's life on other planets. There's life across the universe, and we're all from the same God. Even the Vatican says that. But I don't know why as a society we're waiting for a politician to come out and say, oh, yeah, there's life on other planets. We already know it. We have math, which is the universal truth. Math tells us there's life on other planets. It exists here mathematically with the hundreds of billions of stars, and within the hundreds of billions of galaxies across the universe, life exists on other planets. So I don't understand why, as a society, we wait for a politician who, honestly is a person that's going to say whatever they need to say to get elected, usually the most conservative thing possible, why we're expecting them to come out and say, a truth that we already know. I'm just really disappointed with our society about that. And the thing that concerns me is within the last few years, we've had really great strides on the topic. We have some really great people working on this disclosure issue. We have Stephen Bassett, we have Stephen Greer, we have Linda Moulton Howe, we have
Leslie Kean. You can't forget Leslie Kean. Yeah,
so much amazing information that's backed up by facts, by military documents, by scientific truth, and we're still saying, no, that's not enough. I want the president to tell me. And I'm really disappointed with our society in that aspect. But here's my concern. Here's my concern. 10 years from now, is Clifford Stone still going to be around doing this job? Is, Linda Moulton Howe still going to be available to do the amazing journalist work that she does. Where's the younger, people my age, and I it's also my responsibility, but I'm just a little guy from a little nobody from San Antonio.
Right. Well, how old are you?
I feel like I'm 35, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I really would love to shadow one of these, in my opinion, great people. I don't even know where to start, and plus, I really just got into the topic about a year and a half ago, into the whole ufology, and I'm an analyst at my job, and wow, looking at all this amazing information, there shouldn't be any doubt in anyone's mind. Which leads to the disappointment that I have on our general society of why we have our day-to-day life where we're grinding a stone to receive a piece of paper that's supposed to represent value that we take to the grocery store and exchange it for food. We grind our stones, and someone tells us, hey, there's other worlds out there with so many other societies, so many other people. It can enrich our lives. It can cure all diseases. It can do all these great things, but we're not exploring it.
Well, let me ask you this. Well,
in other words,
let me address. You brought up a few really, really good points, and things that we discuss on this show a lot, and I appreciate that. And but let me address a couple of your points. The first thing you just said, you're 35. So let me throw one thing back at you. Do you and your friends believe in life out there? Just a general question. You do, don't you?
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
I think that your generation, which is it's about a half a generation behind me. You say you're 35 and you're young, but now you're almost a full-fledged grown up. You're still crazy, but you're 35. So we're about from the same generation. I'm a little older than you, but I will say this, so I'm speaking for you when I say our generation has become very accustomed and acclimated to life out there, as opposed to our parents and our grandparents. It's become something that we just accept. I think we're more sensible, and we're also smarter. So on that respect, yes. Now, addressing your point to why does society in general expect disclosure to come from Washington when it's actually here and now? I totally agree with that. I totally agree. Part of that problem with the status quo, in my opinion, then I'm gonna ask you the very same questions. I think that part of the problem with that status quo is Hollywood. It's the way that Hollywood has portrayed it, and all the way. You can start with recent films like War of the Worlds or Independence Day, and then go back and just go slowly back. Everything is kind of the same thing. The flying saucer in the White House lawn, the flying saucer over New York, the flying saucer over Los Angeles, and the alien attack or whatever. And that's how it's going to happen. And then Washington has to then say, okay, they're here. And that's where it comes from. But I think your generation, our generation, looks at it a bit differently, Norik. I really do, in that we accept it. I don't think, seriously, you said you're in San Antonio, right? Okay, right. So you and your friends, let's just say this. It's you and your friends. You're out on the downtown San Antonio, in the big park down there. Nice, beautiful walk. It's a Friday night. You guys are enjoying downtown San Antonio, which, by the way, is awesome. Love San Antonio. So you guys are down there. You're taking your walk, and ET comes to visit, and lands right there at the big park in downtown. Do you guys freak out? No.
No, that's so true. We would totally not. I've had this conversation with my friends, and no, we wouldn't.
Exactly. You'd be happy. It's about time, is what you would say. So I think we've moved beyond that. I think our generation is certainly moved beyond that. And Washington knows. They do. They're so wrapped up in the big lie that's been going on since 1947, or maybe even a little before that, that now they can't say anything. So they're kind of stuck. They painted themselves into a corner.
That's kind of where I can't agree with that statement. Here's why. Roswell, 1947. That was 2 lifetimes ago. That was forever ago.
Right.
Something more recent, the Phoenix Light. That was back in the 90s. And taking something from what Richard Dolan said when he said the way he thinks disclosure is going to happen is something big has to happen. Something, they have to come down and lots of ships and make a big show. And you know what? I totally disagree with that because it's happened already. Roswell happened. The Phoenix Lights happened. Those were huge things. And what are the, government or the people, society, us, we turn to the government and say, hey, government, what do you think? And they say, no, it didn't happen. Oh, okay, it didn't happen this time, but maybe next time it'll happen. And we just accept it as an answer. And so I don't think, I disagree in that aspect.
Well, let me throw this, Norris, let me throw this out at you, and thank you for the phone call, first-time caller, too. Really cool. Listen, how do you think I know you're saying that in general disclosure is here, and you and your friends accept it, but how do you think Washington, what's it going to take for Washington and the rest of the world where everybody, it's just accepted, and when we cross that line, what's it going to take?
Thank you for asking. I've thought this through.
Okay.
So, number one, it does come from us. It's a grassroots movement. Okay? It's going to come from us, the public. Like I said, we're not going to get a politician to admit to it unless we tell him we want this. We know they're here, and we just need you. We don't care if you even acknowledge it. We know they're here, and you're a liar if you say they're not.
Right.
That's the only way to get them to say. Okay. So how do we get disclosure? Number one, well, it starts with the people that we already have, but I think we only have a short window of opportunity to get this done. Number one, people like Richard. It's because I'm nervous. I forgot his last name. Hoagland. Richard Hoagland. Always, great information. Richard Hoagland. Why don't we get some of your people together? We get everybody to chip in, and why don't we get a small satellite with a high-powered camera,
right,
circle around the dark side of the moon,
right,
and we take pictures of what's over there. That's number one. We go out, we, the people, not NASA, not government, not even SpaceX, not even them. We, the people, led by people that we trust. I trust Richard Hoagland. I trust a lot of other professionals and scientists in ufology. We go out and we find it instead of waiting for NASA to disclose pictures. Come on, they're not going to release a picture of an alien. They might release a picture of a rock that gets out of place in 5 seconds, but not a picture of an alien. Okay, so that's one. And number two, people like Stephen Bassett. He's great at what he does, but man, this is you're pushing that rock uphill very slowly.
Right.
You're really great at, Stephen, tell me who to vote for. You tell me which politician is pushing for disclosure. I'm going to vote for him. I'm going to get him into office. I'm going to get all my friends to vote for him. Let's get this ball rolling. Let's get it rolling downhill instead of uphill.
I totally agree with you.
Who to vote for.
You bring up
those are two important things.
You bring up your first point, and you're right about Bassett, by the way. And if I was in Washington, he'd be the one guy I wouldn't want on my tail because he will not give up. But back to your first point, I agree with if Washington plays around long enough and keeps putting this off, somebody with some money, and there's already 2, 3, maybe 4 guys out there with deep pockets that are into research and ufology, will have the money together to fire something up on the moon, and it will be private and it will be out of their control. And soon Mars is
find that right away.
Well, with what Zubrin and Elon Musk and these guys, Mars is right behind that. It's not that difficult, and not with our technology today. So I totally agree with you. I really do, Norik. And before you know it, you're going to have some guy, Richard Branson, some crazy dude with deep pockets that can afford to do it. And we fire up so many rockets today. It's like easy. So yeah, I totally agree with you. I totally
agree.
You're
taking a lot of you're going in the right direction yourself, checking out this underwater structure. That's exactly what we should be doing.
Yeah,
This one's right around the corner, thank goodness. But man, how many times have we been to the moon or around the moon, and we don't know what's on the other side? Or the public?
Well, we don't. Yeah, they do. We don't. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
And again, my main concern, the big danger for me, the thing that's closing this window of opportunity is the ufologists in the know. The Stan Friedman, for example, he just had a heart attack. Oh my God, is he going to be around in 10 years?
Yeah,
fighting this fight. Oh man, I really hope so.
Well,
because I feel that the window is closing.
That's that. Yeah, Norik, that's part of it, but it's you and your generation. I think we're going to be just fine. And every time that I'm around with other researchers, and then I see, at conventions and stuff, and I see the young faces, I go up to them and I talk to them all the time. It's amazing to me the knowledge that is there, and the open-mindedness, and the thirst for truth and knowledge. And so I know it's there. I'm not worried about it. What's funny is anybody that comments, and it really sometimes gets under my skin, but anybody that comments and says, "Oh, I just went to this UFO get together and everybody there was 70 years old." That's a critic. That's somebody that doesn't have anything to say, and that's somebody that's looking for attention because they didn't really look into that. It's too easy to say stuff like that. It's much harder. It's harder to be the good guy, and it's harder to be honest. That's always hard. When you're growing up, you always wanted to be like the rebel in school, and I don't know you, Norik. This is the first time you've ever called in, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's always easier to be bad. It is. What's harder to do in life? To do the right thing. That's what's hard. To keep a job, to be honest, to tell the truth, to love your family, and toe the line, be straight. Now, that's what's hard. That's what's hard. And ufology, it's the same way. It's too easy to just be a critic. It's too easy to try to shoot us down. That's easy. What's hard? For you to make this call into this show. That's what's hard. What's hard is to believe in what we believe in. So that's it. And I do believe in your generation, which is my generation. So, all right. Hey, Norik, I'm going to move on and grab some more calls. You call again, okay? Great phone call.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jimmy.
Thank you, Norik. Norik from San Antonio, Texas. Thank you, Norik. First-time caller. All right. Michael Anderson, Indianapolis, in the house. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing good. How you doing tonight, Jimmy, sir?
It's Thursday, and you know what that means, Michael? It's a good day.
It is. Well, here's what I wanted to call and talk about tonight. So, with everything going on in Missouri, have you seen the video where the cameramen and the news people, these are like real actual news people, had tear gas shot at them, and then the SWAT car came up and tore the cameras down?
Right.
Okay, so you've seen that, right?
Yep.
Okay. So let's take like that situation where that's, news. People are supposed to be able to, put out there to the public what's going on in the situation. And then think about, say, when there was the big flood and the dome and everybody had to go to the dome at New Orleans.
Right.
And then there's a video out there of like an 86-year-old lady who had her dead husband's revolver in the house.
Right.
And when the cops came around and confiscated everything, they like broke her hand and took the gun away.
Right.
My question is, at what point is the United States going to say, we have already lost our civil liberties?
You feel it, don't you?
I feel it every day.
Yeah, you feel it, don't you? I feel
everything I see.
Yeah, and I think I made this comment last month, but it's kind of funny. It's something that our parents and history has always said. The best thing to do is always have an enemy, always be fighting a war. The economy's great, and rah 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 country and all of that. And so when you look at that, when the big corporations now and the powers that be and the puppet string pullers and so forth, what's the best thing to do? What's the best thing to do? Well, first off, keep you and I scared, right? That's the first thing. And there's other talk shows that deal with this subject. That's not necessarily what this show is about, but this show is definitely about the truth. But I'll say this. The best thing for those guys to put together, if you're going to put together the perfect scenario, what do? Well, let's create a war that never goes away. It's called terrorism.
Wars.
Yeah,
all wars are banker wars.
Yeah. Let's just fight terrorists. They don't have a country. You can't see them. You can't smell them. They're always there, and we can just keep this thing going forever. And then with that,
but it all ties into aliens as well. I mean, you have Ronald Reagan talks about it with a big address to the whole world. You got Jimmy Carter, who admits he sees it, but neither one of them will ever get the gist of it and be able to say it out in public, because JFK will happen to him.
Right. Yep. Every politician,
society, is the mass, and I'm not saying like the individuals that listen, the fade or not. But when do the masses say, hey, man, let's stop listening to CNN and NBC and ABC and CBS and everything that's going to just tell us what's orchestrated and what's on the script?
Yeah, you're asking me the question that I ask everybody, or I say this almost every night. It's a weird. I don't know where society took the big turn. I don't.
I think it's the fact that as long as we got Facebook, and as long as we get cars that get better miles to the gallon and shit like that, or stuff like that,
right?
Then we'll just be oblivious. Just keep us satisfied with escalators, so we don't have to walk upstairs, and keep us satisfied with tanning beds, so we don't have to go outside. Just keep force feeding us stuff, and we'll just keep eating it up and get fatter.
I was thinking about this very subject the other day. It's really funny that you called in with this. And by the way, I see all the calls stacked up. Just stay there. I was going to my whole intro to the show, put subjects on the table. All of that's out the window now, Michael, because of you. Okay, and Norick in San Antonio. But I was thinking about this the other day. Something happened between 1969 and 1970. I'm not talking specifically about the year. I'm talking about the era.
Right.
And I started
the mindset.
The mindset change. And you know what I think was a big part of it? And I trip on this for a second. Color television. We went from being a black and white, everything was like a little older, everything was in the past, it was a different type of history. Suddenly, we're in a brand new look. It was only a couple of years. The 60s and the 70s on a whole weren't much different. No more different than the 80s or the 90s or the 2000s, and so everything kind of blends together. But something happened between the 60s and the 70s, and I'm saying we went from being wearing black and white glasses to color, where everything was now modern and futuristic, and things changed. And not only did it happen with the literal sense of color television, but what I mean is the mass media changed, Hollywood changed, Washington, D.C. changed, the perception of the public changed, the perception that we had of big government changed. We went from being like an innocent country, an innocent lifestyle, Ward Cleaver, Leave It to Beaver, that whole thing, the Flintstones, that whole thing that we were about.
Our votes used to matter.
Yes.
Our votes used to matter.
Yes.
And the majority
jobs
actually
and
elected the president.
Yes.
But then they kill a president and they get away with it. And now everybody's scared to death, because if the under-government, for lack of a better term, can assassinate a president and get away with it, and now we have hours and hours of kooky television and radio programming with their different hypotheses how JFK got killed.
Right.
We're all going to stay scared.
Right.
Who wants to mess with that?
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's a weird something changed. And like I said, we went from being this innocent country where we respected government, the government respected the people, and it was everything was the good fight. You know, your dad worked, your mom stayed at home.
The Nazis.
Yeah, well, or anything. Yeah, whatever it is, the good fight. We need to build highways across the United States. Let's get it done. The good fight. You know, let's just go do it. Let's build factories. Let's build houses, state parks. Suburbia, let's just make things beautiful, and shopping centers, and it was this thing, and it just went away. Something went away, and we lost it. I would love to get it back. Michael, you are the best, man, and
have a good evening, sir.
Always, man. Say hi to Naptown for us.
I will.
You got it. Thank you, Michael. That's just okay. So much for the intro on the show. You are live on Fade to Black with Jimmy Church. Who's calling? Where are you calling from?
Awesome. This is Billy. I'm in Laredo right now. I'm the truck driver. I've called in once before. There was an interesting topic. There's actually two topics I wanted to bring up. One about your Malibu base and one about Mike Barra last night with Kevin.
Okay, go ahead.
There's something about the whole pareidolia. You had problems with it too. Pareidolia. Pareidolia.
Yes.
Yeah. Pattern recognition within a random field. Now, the empirical materialist tries to use that as a separation point, saying that it makes us psychologically, you've eliminated yourself psychologically because you're interpreting into it. You're not actually seeing facts.
That's correct.
What I've seen is that this is actually one of the major divisions that needs to be cleared up, because your typical materialist, empiricist, thinker is usually also atheist. It's a dead rock earth. And because of that, there's no spiritual underpinnings. There's no intellectual underpinnings. There's nothing intellectual about nature, but they're wrong about this. And quantum physics is very much quickly creeping up on them about that.
Yep.
So the correction here is that when we're looking at pareidolia, we need to also look at anthropomorphism, because that's an important other aspect. Anthropomorphism is the tendency to endow human characteristics on external phenomena.
Right.
And on the one hand, you might think that might serve the materialist in their argument, but it doesn't, because what it really does is it lends us the fact that all of the data that we're receiving en masse is already organized, and we're trying to pick up on that organization.
Yeah, and that's such a great point. Such a great point.
And so the problem here is that in the word pareidolia, the definition uses the word random. Well, therein is the very problem. Because if the quantum cosmology is correct, everything is connected, that it was not an accident. There is an organizing force, an intelligent organizing force in nature. And for that reason, what we're calling random is actually a level of complexity that is beyond our current paradigm of thought. That doesn't mean it's chaos. That just means it's a level of organization that we still yet have to organize. So
are you driving? You drive a truck at night and teach physics during the day? Tell me the truth.
No, I drive a truck, and I'm thinking about everything I'm listening to when I'm listening to Dark Matter Radio. Okay.
Well, I'm going to let you finish, but I want to let me discuss what you first brought up, and what I think is this: pareidolia. I think is for a lot of people on that side of the argument. That's what they want to go. They use that. That's just like it's an excuse word now. It's their go-to word. It's where they go immediately, and it's wrong. And the word isn't wrong, but that's as far as they want to go. You're just seeing stuff. You're just seeing stuff. It's pareidolia,
right?
You're just seeing stuff. But what I mean it is their way of saying, check this out, you're crazy. You're crazy. Right. And that's going to come back and bite everybody. Something is going to happen where.
Exactly. Was Ellie Arroway crazy when she was listening to the washing machine, trying to find patterns in the random noise? See, that's the whole point. We're looking for these patterns, and we're going to find them. They're there. I put 2 posts on your Twitter right now on DM Radio that show my work with binary, because I've also been working with binary and all kinds of stuff. I'm working with all kinds of thoughts. But what I found is that binary isn't just random ones and zeros. There is an inherent mathematical order in binary, and I found it. And it's not the order that humans impose upon it due to computer programming. It's a natural, inherent order waiting to be discovered. Okay? So this is what I'm trying to say. In nature, it's already intelligent. The organization of a crystal in the hexagramic form, the six-sided form, there's an inherent intelligence in all of nature, and that's what's going to bridge the gap here between science and the paranormal. That's where we're going to be going. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is your Malibu. Now, you spotted it in your plane. You spotted these guys diving down there, and then you got this warning from this other associate of yours that said, hey, don't be surprised. Jimmy, don't be surprised.
Right.
All of a sudden there's an earthquake or something. Now, this is what I'm trying to say. Before you get your ROVs down there, you guys need to already be prepared. You need to already have it on your list. What are we going to look for in terms of them trying to cover it up down there?
Yep.
What have they already installed down there? They've already welded a hatch. They've already covered it up with a concrete sedimentary lookalike to mask the fact that there was something down. Whatever it is, you've got to come up with a plan to punch through the bullshit, because there's someone could be covering up already. You already mentioned it in several shows back. You already said, if I see anyone on that site, I'm going to be worried about tampering. And sure enough, you saw someone at the site. So.
Yeah, I know. And you know, if that, I know that I'm in danger of repeating myself, Billy. Just let me say this. Of course, the best scenario is dropping ROVs down there and finding a cave. I mean, that's the best thing, finding an entrance underneath that platform. And then we'll take it to step 2, but that's the first thing. But you know what the second best thing, if we don't get that far, is finding, if they do cover it up, or if they do stop us from,
right.
So that's it.
Why did they do that?
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm okay with either one. Well, no, I'm not okay with either one. Of course, we want scene 1, but if scene 2 happens, then that's okay too, because then they have to explain. What is it that you don't want us to see? What is it there that you're covering up? That's all. I'm good with either one. Of course, we want to find a cave. We want to find an entrance. We want to. Nobody's going into that cave on the first pass, but the second pass, we'll deal with that. But you're absolutely right. Brilliant phone call. Thank you, Billy.
Awesome. Thank you.
Call back anytime, brother.
Awesome. Thank you, man.
You got it. Billy, the truck driver from Texas. I'm not sure if he's a truck driver. There's something weird about that. Okay. Call in numbers 323-825-5045. This is Fade to Black, only on the Dark Matter Radio Network. Not playing commercials all of a sudden either. See, that's what phone calls do. That opens up the lines. I got an email today. Check this out. And to this link. Oh, actually, it was on Twitter. And I don't know if it was Gene, if it was Les. I'm not sure, but somebody sent me this link about why I will not be returning to Ferguson. Now, this is the thing. I have not talked about Ferguson, and that's not what the show is about. It's not. So I'll let my personal feelings about Ferguson go. It's upsetting. And my point of view. Why can't we all just get along? And I think we do. I think the issues out there are with the police and the citizens of Ferguson. The citizens of Ferguson aren't rioting against each other. That's not what's going on. It's them against the man. But I got this today, and this was from this is the article. But he brings up some bullet points. Check this out. And the reason why I'm reading this, it's all about the mass media. And as I've been watching the coverage of Ferguson, something seemed a little off for me. Of course, it needs to be covered. And of course, the citizens there, welcome journalists and coverage. You know, you guys got to come see this. We have a voice that needs to be heard. I get that. And we all get that. And we all want that. But it seems like something is spun out of control for ratings. And you can feel it. You can just feel it. So I'm going to read these bullet points. Check this out. This is from Ryan Schuessler, and he's a journalist, and he says he's been on the ground helping Al Jazeera America cover the protest and unrest in Ferguson since it all started last week. And he says, but after what I saw last night, and this was posted today, so I'm assuming this is what he's referring to. The incident was yesterday on the 20th. Okay, and he says, as a clarification, I'm not a full-time employee of any branch or network. I'm a freelance journalist who contributes to several media platforms. But he says, this is why I have left Ferguson and I won't return. Point number one, cameramen yelling at residents in public meetings for standing in the way of their cameras. I can feel it. I know that went down. He says, cameramen yelling at community leaders for stepping away from podium microphones to better talk to residents. TV crews making small talk and laughing at the spot where Mike Brown was killed as residents prayed and mourned. A TV crew of a to be left unnamed major cable network taking pieces out of a Ferguson business retaining wall to weigh down their tent. Another major TV network renting out a gated parking lot for their one camera, not letting people in. Safely reporting the news from the other side of the tall fence. And I'm just, here's a couple more journalists making the story about them. You know, okay, you next call. You are live on Fade to Black with Jimmy Church. Call in Thursday. You need to turn your stereo down, computer down, radio down. Who's calling? Where are you calling from? Is this Dwayne? You're live with us. 3, 2, 1. Dwayne, call back. Another point. National news correspondents glossing over the context and depth of this story, focused instead on sexy images of tear gas, rubber bullets. One reporter, listen to this, one reporter who last night said he came to Ferguson as a networking opportunity. He later asked me to take a picture of him with Anderson Cooper. And I got to tell you, if I was there and I saw this crap going down and I see it the way the networks are covering it, and it just bothers me so much. All right. I'm going to bring on, I'm going to bring on a special guest, and his name is Victor Goss. And Victor, we took a bunch of phone calls before you, and we're a few minutes late with getting you on the air. But Victor Goss is the writer and director of Apocalypse According to Doris. His as a cinematographer, he did things like Tell It Like It Is, The Wonder Years, Gabriel's Fire, Lightning Field, Pros and Cons, Great Scott, Bakersfield PD, Huck and the King of Hearts, Under Suspicion, Strange Luck, Maloney, Nash Bridges, Grounded for Life, Odyssey, Carrie, Watching Ellie, and he actually did Jessica Simpson, the reality tour live. And he also did the Macy Gray live concert too as well. And so anyway, I'm going to double click here. I'm running things a little backwards tonight, so just stay with me. And we are good. All right. Bringing Victor on right now. I'm going to bring him on right live. Watch this. This is the beauty of you got to love technology just to do this. I was looking up at the clock. Victor, are you with us, sir?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Jump into the microphone, Victor. just did a brief intro for you, and sorry we are a little bit late, but as expected, like I was telling you earlier today, it's call-in Thursday. We're going to get bombed with calls, and we got hit with some really great phone calls here early on. So,
hey, no problem. I was listening in, and I got to tell you, I've listened to your show before, but I'm really impressed by the intelligence level of the conversations that are going on. And some of Billy from Laredo, I mean, my God, I don't think that I could ever expound on that the way that he did. I was really impressed.
Oh, absolutely.
And he can probably drive, a truck with two hands too, with all those gear shift knobs.
You should have seen, I went back after he mentioned the binary stuff, and I went back and looked, and yeah, sure enough, it's all there. Okay, calls are coming in. Listen, I'm going to introduce Victor to everybody in just a second. He's going to join us all night. Well, as long as he can hang. Okay. And we'll do a three-way call tonight, and we'll just talk with our listeners out there across the country, across the world, and just have a nice conversation. And this is the thing. This is what's really cool. And Victor, you and I were talking about this earlier today, but it's just, I say it every night, but this is just my living room. And when I say welcome to a call, or when I say welcome to a guest, that's exactly what I mean. I am welcoming a guest, into my home, into my world. And let's just sit and talk and see where it goes. And everybody else will just be like leaning over the back of the couch and listening to our conversation. That's
okay,
what's
I got my feet up in the ottoman.
Right on. Right on. Now, a couple of things. We do have up on jimmychurchradio.com the links over to Doris the movie. You just click on Victor's name right there. Everybody does it every night. So just go click. It'll take you over to doristhemovie.com, and you can check it out. Now, I watched the first half of the movie. I will get to the second half this evening. I have a few pretty cool comments about it. What I do dig, first off, is you tackle a lot of the cliches. A lot of the when you're talking about paranormal, I mean, to hear E.T. and Pleiades and afterlife and prophecies, and so the way that you guys have you yourself and the team that did the movie, it's for all of us. It's just like, wow, this movie was made for me. This is kind of cool, and again, it's not a heavy. I don't think it's heavy like a dark movie. It certainly could have gone that way too, as well. But I think you deal with all of the subject matter pretty. What's the word I want to say? I don't want to say light, because it's not that, but it's not. It's not a slasher film. It's not a horror flick. It's not meant to. It's not a doomsday picture. It's not any of that, even though the title would imply that. And so, what was your approach to dealing with all of this paranormal subject matter like that in such a way?
Yeah, well, look, when I was a kid, I was always sort of interested in, I don't know, the paranormal things like that. I'd read about flying saucers, and, we were talking earlier about Interrupted Journey by John Fuller was one of the first books that I read.
Right.
And I realized that, there's more going on here than we see. It's sort of hard to put your finger on it. And if you talk about it too much, people look at you funny. But when I was a kid, my parents made me go to this little white church that was down at the corner of where we lived out. I actually grew up in Santa Maria, California, which is an agricultural community, a lot of broccoli and stuff like that. And I remember walking through the broccoli patches to the church, and it was really sort of a wonderful experience, listening to the choir and so forth. And I had a very spiritual feeling about the whole thing. I was really moved by the experience. It was, I think a Southern Baptist church. I really wasn't familiar with, their traditions and so forth. And some of it seemed a little bit odd to me, but I was really impressed by this spiritual sort of feeling that happened with these people when they got together and sang and, did all of the, whatever. And so I was, really into the whole thing until at a certain point, the preacher, ended up breaking up one of the most important marriages in the church and running away with the deacon's redheaded wife and stealing the money from the from the building fund. And I thought, my God, what the hell's going on here? So it sort of started a journey for me, and I figured that was, like a basic kindergarten sort of education, maybe going to church and all these sort of religions that we know about. I was looking for something a little bit more sort of a higher education, so I started getting involved with a lot of reading and paranormal stuff. Met psychics. I met great teachers from the East who were really interesting, who taught Dharma and so forth. And there was really a lot of wisdom in that stuff. It's almost as if you can learn from these great traditions and these great histories and realize also at the same time that, I don't know, it seems like not everything that we've been told is true. Develop a sort of critical attitude about, new things that you hear, but keeping your mind open. There's a guy that's got a really great radio show. Maybe you know him. His name's Henrik Palmgren. He's got Red Ice Radio, and he's a fantastic guy. He says, we like to have our friends and audience be people who try to have an open mind, but not so far open that your brain falls out.
Well, that's exactly right. And you know what? Before we move on, I've got a couple of calls that have been coming in. And this is Call-In Thursday, so let's see what we have. But you know what?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay.
Let's see what we have here. Here we go. Okay, you are live with Victor Goss and Jimmy Church on Fade to Black. Who's calling? Where are you calling from?
This is Randall Quisenberry, and I'm calling from Inez, Kentucky, right on the 27th parallel.
Oh, right on, Randall. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Listening to your show and enjoying it. I'd like to say it's a very big honor to be able to speak with you, Jimmy. And so I guess that's the main thing I wanted to say. And that I'm a true fade or not. And I've been following you since your second show.
Is that right? Well, and thank you, Randall, for that. And again, this show is a humbling experience. I say it every single night, but people need to understand where I'm coming from. It's people like you and the family that we have built and the audience that we have built. It has turned into this big thing, but it seems small because everybody, just gets along and everybody's cool. And I really dig that part of it. So thank you for that, Randall. Say hi to Victor really quick. And this is the thing. As you move along, you're going to see some of Victor's stuff. He's got another movie coming out he doesn't want to talk about tonight, but I'll make him. But go check out Apocalypse According to Doris and click on the website. Go over to his website, and in the month of September, I'll hand it back over to Victor. But there will be ways to watch it for free. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
At
that website.
Thank you, Randall.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and hello, Victor. By the way.
Hey, Randall. Yeah, nice to hear you.
Okay, thank you, Randall. Okay, now, believe it or not, we have got. I've got to move some stuff around here. Let me move this. Let me move this. Let me do this, and let me do this. Okay, I got it done. You are live on Fade to Black.
Good evening, Mr. Church.
Who's calling? Oh, you know what? I just did. I just hung up on Victor. Oh, Victor, if you're listening. Oh, man. Oh, hey. Now I don't know what to do. This is just too much. I can't believe I just did this.
Can you get him back?
Yeah. I'm going to try to figure out how to do this in real time. This is great. Okay, hopefully he'll call us back.
Okay.
So what's shaking tonight?
Wanda tweeted me and said she wanted to hear me. So this is Gene Bateau calling from the Fade or Not bunker in Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Oh, right on, man. Right on. Okay.
How you doing?
Absolutely fantastic. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great. Enjoying the show as usual.
You sound like John B. Wells.
Well, I'm not John B. Wells.
What have you got for us tonight?
I'm a kindred spirit of John B. Wells. I believe John B. Wells is one of the greatest broadcasters of all time, right up there with you. And I just want you to know that it's a great thing you do, and that I want to see those ROBs go down to the DUWB, baby.
We're getting so close, and the scary thing with that is I just can't announce it ahead of time. It'll be one of those things. I will get on the air and go, we did it today. We got to surprise the man. So
tell Walanda I said hello, and I'm going to hang up and let you get back to the guest.
Thank you. You have a good night.
All right. Good night, sir.
Bye-bye. Oh, I can't believe I hung up on Victor like that. I should just be shot. Okay, let's just bring him back in. And my most humble apologies. But, Victor, sorry about that, man.
Yeah, no problem.
It just, it's, I'm spinning plates. I'm spinning plates. That's what it is. Imagine a bunch of plates in front of you, and you're trying to keep them all spinning at the same time. Well, if you're
spinning plates, how can you handle all those switches you've got?
Oh, man. It was so funny because there were 6 calls in front of me. And I was like, okay, all right, let's grab one. And that's the way that it goes. So back to the cast. This is the thing. I want to talk about Apocalypse for a second. The cast. It's one of those movies that first off shot pretty well. I know you're not the cinematographer on this, but I can tell that you took your time to make sure that every scene is framed right. It's not, it was just really well done. And so that part of it is cool. But the cast, you feel like it's somebody that somebody that you've seen before. The cast is really well put together. How did you do that? And I'm sure this was on a budget. So are you asking for favors? Were you able to pay somebody a little something? How did you pull that off?
Yeah, no, it was a professionally done thing, and we had money, not a lot of it. It was shot on a modified low budget, which allows us to pay the actors and the crew and so forth. Every one of the actors that we used are seasoned professionals who've been on major television shows. Probably not names that you see because they hadn't started a big movie or something like that recently. But, Jaime Gomez, for example, I had worked with him on Nash Bridges, and he was one of the leads in that show. We worked for I think the show ran 8 years. I was up there 2 years in San Francisco. And, we would plot and scheme and so forth behind the camera while we were working. It finally came to the place where this picture was ready to do, and Jaime was the first person I thought about. So he actually joined me, and he, was one of the producers of the film. We together did a lot of the casting on the film. Casting was really a great experience because, we hired a casting director, and it was a sort of a situation where, we would sit there and the people would come in. And we had the top talent in town coming in and reading for the show. But the minute that Elise Robertson walked in the door,
she's so good in this. Yeah, she's so good.
Incredible.
Yes.
So, I guess my job basically is to try to bring as much stuff, to the set as I can and let the actors pick up the ball and start playing with it. And that's really the basketball game that, movie making is all about. And I knew the casting was critical. And until we found the people to play the roles, they just basically walked out of the script into the casting session. And that's how we knew who they were. So we had the best people. The very best that were available. So I was really impressed with that. I actually, during the time that we were casting, had some name actors who I won't say any names, who actually came in and, wanted to do the role. And after we had seen Elise and of course Jaime was involved from the beginning, there just wasn't any chance of doing it that way. So I felt really proud about the fact that we made the right decision. And earlier you were asking about, how do we deal with these subjects? Well, I've experienced, a lot of situations with psychics and, and teachers and preachers and so forth, like I was explaining before, where, there's something that wasn't just right about what was going on, but yet there was something going on that, no one really could get answers for. And so my purpose in making this film was to look at all of these things that, are sort of, not talking about, denied, or even covered up, and try to, bring the audience into the lives of these people in this house to find out, in fact, what the meaning of all of this is. And the fact of the matter is that all of this stuff is extremely paradoxical. So how do we find our way through it? And that's really sort of what the theme of the movie is about.
Like I said, this is Open Line Thursday, and what Victor and I are going to do, we've already done. I have 2 autographed DVDs, and what's really cool is Victor signed the DVDs with a gold pen. Very cool, by the way.
I was very impressed with your pen. Thank you.
I was very impressed with your signature, sir. So I've got 2 DVDs that we'll be giving away tonight, and I'll tell you how we're going to do that in just a second. How can everybody see this film?
Right, exactly. I wanted to make that as clear as I could. Because we're releasing on a new platform called VHX TV, which is an incredible new high technology platform. There's a couple of them out there. This one's the best one that I found. I wanted to make sure that as many people could find out about this film as possible. And I mean, there may be people who aren't interested in spending money to see the DVD right now. Let them take a look at the movie. Let them tell their friends about it. If you go to the website, doristhemovie.com, and click Watch Movie, it'll take you right to the page where you can click on a live link that goes to a YouTube channel that's going to be running the movie through the month of December. So you can see the show for
December or September.
Did I say December? I meant September.
September.
Yeah.
Okay,
September.
Threw me off too. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so you got it. When is that's what, in 9 days? I guess 8 days.
You know what? I've got it up live now because you called and said do the radio show, and so people want to do stuff when they hear about it, so it's open now.
Maybe that's why I started getting all of the email. Dude, what a cool movie! I'm watching it. Yeah. So that's probably what happened. Okay. So thank you for that. Okay, so if you want to check out the flick, you have to do it after the show tonight. If I catch somebody tweeting that this movie's great, I'm watching it now while you're listening to this show, shame on you. But tonight...
Yeah, but you can tweet me.
What's your Twitter handle?
It's at Doris the Movie.
At Doris the Movie. There you go. All right. So so that's how you can see it for free. You can see it tonight. It's cool. It's like I said, all of those little things that everybody... that we enjoy talking about every night on this show. It's like the first 5 or 10 minutes into the movie, you're like, wow, it's going there. And I couldn't believe it. When I heard Pleiades, I was like, no way. All right. Let's grab this call. He's called a few times already. This is Dwayne. Dwayne, you're with us live finally, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine. Let me kill this. We finally got the right button.
Okay.
Hey,
where are you calling from, Dwayne?
I'm out of Snohomish, Washington.
Washington State.
Yes.
How are you tonight? Are you okay? Sorry about that. What have you got tonight? Say hi to Victor too.
Well, Victor, I have to tell you, when I first called in, you hadn't called in yet. Now that you called in, and I got to tell everybody this. Everybody's really got something in common tonight. Every one of you are dealing with in terms of the law of one. The reason that this film's so successful is because you just let the universe take a hold of those people. They all became one, and you got a wonderful product, and I haven't even seen it yet, but I can hear it in your voice. Yeah. And I got to tell you, Jimmy, when you were talking earlier about something spinning out of control, it's you, Jimmy. The whole universe is spinning around you. And that first caller out of Texas, I call him Grasshopper from now on, at 35, the fix for everything is exactly what I'm talking about for everybody tonight. It is, in fact, the law of one. If you don't know what it is, Google it. Have a good evening. And by the way, how do I win that DVD?
You know what? I was just going to say, first-time caller, with a question for Victor will win a DVD. Okay, so now you're a first-time caller, but now you have to ask Victor a question.
Oh boy, are you buckle up, Victor?
I can't wait. You know, I just wanted to say that I know Snohomish. It was the first place in Washington that I actually ran my car off the road into a ditch in a snowstorm.
Oh yeah, you can do that easy around this territory. I'm very much active in the movie industry and music and talk radio and a whole bunch of. That's why I am Star 6. But one of the things I wanted to ask you is. Speaking of Snohomish, did you catch the movie that was filmed up here called 7 Minutes?
I've heard the title. I haven't seen it. No,
I haven't seen it either.
Well, I went and got all 700 of the extras out of the town. It was fun. Anyhow,
awesome.
Sorry, I didn't mean to plug another movie.
That's okay.
The question I really have for you is that I'm really frustrated. I have a movie that I pretty much got financed, and that took 2 years. But the point being
so
is...
fast.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I happen to know the right number to call. In fact, all your callers would sure like to have this number because it's the wealthiest group on earth. And the good guys, I should mention. Good guys. I want to underline that. The point that I'm trying to make is I really get frustrated with when you got I use a word and nobody's going to want to hear this, but when you get an actor, for example, that's just too pissy to deal with, what do you do with that particular actor? I mean, in other words, you're already burning, you already got your film rolling, everything's going, and all of a sudden, oh no, you did this and da-da-da.
Oh, you mean like Megan Fox or something?
Yeah, I don't care. Marilyn Monroe, probably. You know what I mean? They just wake up on the wrong side of the bed, and all of a sudden you got tens of thousands of dollars going down the toilet.
Yeah.
Real quick, hey Dwayne, thank you for the call. Email Rita your address, and we'll get one of these discs off to you.
Well, I sure appreciate that. Holy cow, I'm a winner no matter what I do.
Yes, you're right. Thank you, Dwayne.
Yeah. Thanks, Dwayne.
You're
Good question.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, the comment I was going to make is that my experience in the business, both with fairly big actors and smaller actors, is that they're all professionals and they're there to do a job. And in any kind of work, any field, any industry, there's going to be personal politics and so forth, and you basically grow up and deal with them as best as possible. Now, if it's a matter of thinking that a director is going to control an actor, or that an actor is going to control a director or any other thing on the set, those are really issues that we have in our families, in our communities, that we deal with in the techniques that we've learned growing up. I think Marilyn Monroe and some of these other actors we've talked about who are completely out of control are probably more the exception. But the fact of the matter is that there are people who are extremely dysfunctional. We have to learn to deal with them wherever we are.
I have a friend, he shall remain nameless, really cool guy, great actor, who got really, really lucky with about probably 3 or 4 cult movie, a big name, just had it going on there for a while, and then lost control a little bit, and now he's somebody that right now. If I said this, I'll do it off the air, but you would go, no way. And he got himself into some trouble one day on the set with an EP, and it's tough to find work, and that's been going on for a while now, and it's just I'm talking about an actor studio, trained A-list guy there for a minute, and now it's a tough world out there, being difficult on the set,
Yeah, well, you're going to find that in a McDonald's store, working for a manager who's a pain in the ass. So, I think what's really different is that, in the film business, you're working with people who are very sensitive artists for the most part. Even the guys that carry the heavy equipment, They're people who are there because they understand what's going on. And the pressures are sometimes beyond description. We've heard recently of some terrible accidents that happened in Georgia on a film where some bad decisions were made and some people got hurt and one young lady was killed. This sort of pressure pushes people, to their breaking points. And, for people to, be out of control for a few minutes and do something that they shouldn't do or say something that they shouldn't do is not an unusual thing. And for the most part, it's repairable unless it's something that, is, like you were saying, you said the wrong thing to the wrong guy.
Right. How did you prepare for writing this film? Because, again, you're dealing with the subjects that you need to people are going to call you out that you don't know what you're doing when you deal with this subject matter if you're not correct in it. So you had to do some research, or were you already researching on your own into the paranormal and into ET and ufology and everything else? How did you prepare?
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, in a way, I'm sort of intimidated by the knowledge and expertise of the people who are on your show. I mean, I do research, but I'm not a researcher. I'm not a journalist. And the thing is, I do know most of the topics and most of the subjects and most of the people that they're talking about because I do travel in those circles. The thing is, like I said, when I was searching to find more, I did a lot of reading and, Whitman and Thoreau and Blake and also guys that were psychedelic explorers, McKenna, Lilly, and Huxley. And I was into science, and I met a lot of psychics and mystics and saints, and was really impressed by a lot of art that I've seen in my life. And I mean, that's been part of the inspiration in finding how to deal with the subject matter and what the subject matter is, but also. I think art, in a way, is even more important than all the rest of it because I think it was, who was it that said that, I'll think of it in a minute, who said that art, it was Picasso. Picasso said, art is the lie that tells the truth.
That's right.
And so, and it has to do with the art, dramatic arts, but also visual arts when you're doing a film. But I don't know if I answered your question or not, but it was sort of...
Well, the thing is, you can't go into, I talked to Dan Fogler about this with his film, Don Peyote.
Yeah.
And in that film, he covers in depth, everything about what this show is about. And this genre, this family, everything that we're about is in Don Peyote. And
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think, and yeah, that's true. And I think that their films are very powerful when they deal on the level of information and fact. I wanted to make those connections on an emotional level in this film, and that's really what's going on. And I don't know if I could, I don't know if I would be really good at, doing a documentary or doing something that really. And I know that Don Peyote was not a documentary, but. It was a lot more reality-based than Doris is.
Yeah, correct. And when I talked to Dan about that, I was like, dude, how... And he goes, man, it was after 9/11, and I jumped on the internet, and I knew something was going on with the government and media and what I was hearing and
plus
seeing.
He hangs out with Freeman. So
yeah,
he
exactly.
Know what's going on.
And so that's who he contacted. He hooked up with Freeman. And he got into this whole subnet out there on conspiracies and Freemasons and ufology and everything that went along with it. And he researched for years, and it's something that shows in Don Peyote. When Dan was on this show, there was nothing that I couldn't talk to him about that he knew his stuff. He knew his stuff. He really did. He went and did a lot of research and befriended the right people. And yeah, Freeman is a good example of that. Freeman's a very
one of my favorite guys.
Yeah.
The best research that I got happened after the film was made. My wife and I decided that we would move out of town, so we found ourselves a place in Ojai. And of course, for people who aren't familiar with Ojai, it's a village that was started many years ago. I think Christian Murdy and Annie Besant and those people sort of established a New Age community out there back in the 20s. And there are people that do all this stuff. Well, it turned out that I moved in right next door to Doris.
Oh.
A woman who is in the community is like, everyone flocks around her. She's a channeler. She deals directly with the Pleiades and so forth. And we became really good buddies. And I actually interviewed her a couple of times and wrote a magazine article about her, relating, what a real channeler is doing compared to what Doris is doing in the movie. And it was really enlightening what she had to say. We attended a number of her she'd do a meeting every, I think, Monday night up at the Yurt, which is just across the street from the Deer Lodge for those who know the area. And it was absolutely fascinating, the most entertaining sessions that I ever had, but yet they were inspiring and they were so lifting to the spirit. It reminded me of that little church that I used to go to when I was a kid.
And when you get exposed to that for the first time, do you go in, well, as you should, skeptical, but how did you leave? How was the backside?
Well, okay. A lot of this stuff is very difficult for, she said, the most important thing that she said to me was, and this was in the interview, she said, channeling is a participatory process for the audience. The audience has to listen and has to use a critical mindset to decide whether or not this is being spoken for them. Because the funny thing is, you can go into a wonderful sort of experience like this, and it's all like, feels like Disneyland with all of the, fantasy sort of ideas and stuff that are going on. And then, you get to places where it's absolutely this wonderful truth that you recognize. Now, is it because this woman is so has inner knowledge? She just is somebody who really has wisdom and so forth. Is she being inspired perhaps by her unconscious, which is inspiring her with wisdom that she may not normally use in her daily language, or is someone speaking through her? In a way, it really doesn't matter, because if you listen to what to what is being said, and it has major relevance to where you are in your life, you've been spoken to, maybe by yourself. So it's really, that's why it's a wonderful experience. By the way, her name is Nora Harold, and some of the people in your audience may know her. She's very well known. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, well, I'm sorry. I was I was interrupting you. I didn't mean to, but I just got a tweet and said, was John Desmond involved in making the movie?
I don't know John Desmond, so I'm not sure if he was involved.
Oh, John he just corrected himself and said John Densmore.
John Densmore. No, that's interesting. And it's funny that you say that, because we were just talking about John Densmore earlier in the day.
Yes.
So, no, he wasn't. But I wish he was. That would have been cool.
Oh, man. Okay. I've got one more DVD I'm going to give away. First-time caller, 323-825-5045. First-time caller and a good question for Victor will get the second autographed DVD, Apocalypse According to Doris.
Yeah.
Okay, now talk to me about your philosophy with the starving moniker and what you're putting together.
Yeah, the Starving Film Students, which is the company that produced the film, is a company name that I came up with back in 1991. I was working on, actually it was earlier than that, it was 1989. I was working at on Wonder Years, the TV show on Wonder Years. I was a second unit director, camera operator, and hanging out with the guys there. It was really like a family. It was one of the most wonderful shows to work on. It was as much fun to work on as it was to watch. So I feel like I was honored in a way that, you very seldom are in the film business. And the people who worked on it were so wonderful. But to get back to the point, so I used to drive early to beat the traffic on the 405, and I started working on the script back then. It was based upon a an event that happened in, I say it's based upon, it wasn't exactly based on, it was inspired by an event that happened in Lake Forest, Illinois in 1952, which was exactly what happens in the movie. A couple of women get together and they start playing around with the Ouija board, although they don't use a Ouija board in Doris, and start channeling information about the world coming to an end. And actually what they came up with was something very similar to Edgar Cayce's prediction of the United States in the future, where there's a big earthquake that splits, on the Madrid Fault, and the lakes turn into a great sea that separates the eastern and western whatever, and then California becomes an island and all that sort of crap. I mean, it's not, I don't mean that derisively. And
right. I'm going to stop you right there. Let's just grab this next call because
let's do it.
It's a first-time caller here. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black with Jimmy Church and Victor Goss. Who's calling and where are you calling from?
Well, I have a special message for you. Zug.
Uh-huh.
Don't ask me. This is Lou, or should I say John Pider. How are you doing, Jimmy?
How you doing, Lou?
All right.
What's shaking?
I don't know. Not much. Just thought I'd call and say I'm enjoying the show.
I know you are. Do you have and it's good to hear from you, Lou. Do you have a question for Victor?
I didn't. I just wanted to call in and say it's good to hear you on the air. I'm sorry. I apologize for that.
No,
okay?
Apologize for calling to say hi. You can always do that.
Yeah, that's all. Well, I just don't have a question for your guest. But.
See, this is what this is like, Victor. Isn't it great? It's just one big family all night long.
Well, yeah, Lou, just sit down and have a cup of tea. Do you like sugar?
No, actually, no. But I'm going to get a glass of water.
Hey, Lou.
Good evening, okay?
Hey, Lou.
Yeah.
Do us all a solid. Check out Apocalypse According to Doris tonight, and then I want to hear from everybody next week.
Okay, I actually did start to watch it a little bit from last week. I was sent a link, so I did start to watch it a bit. I didn't realize, again, you ought to talk more about the movie. Set us up a bit more for that. But yeah, that'll be good. I'll let you know.
Thank you, Lou. You have a good night, man.
Okay.
Thanks, Lou.
You too. Bye.
We got another call coming in. This is back to back. Let's just keep it going. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black with Jimmy Church and Victor Goss. Hello.
This is Nicholas Downs calling in.
Hi, Nicholas.
Hey,
how are you?
How are you?
I'm good. I've been listening to you, so I just thought I would take a moment to call in and say hi, and hi to you, Jimmy, for the first time, and just say hello to Victor.
Let me introduce Nicholas. Nicholas played the role of Mike, who was the guy who was the ambassador to outer space, to outer space.
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm good. It's been nice listening to your show.
Well, thank you for that, but let me ask you, what's Victor like as a director?
He's amazing.
Don't speak.
Oh, shoot, wait. How much money are you going to send me now, Victor? Well, Victor is one of those, I guess I consider to be kind of rare directors that allows you to have creative freedom but also has a vision. And I think sometimes that balance is really hard to find with directors because sometimes they already have their vision so plotted out that it's hard to find creative freedom, or they don't have their vision plotted out, so you're having to really do a lot of the extra work yourself. But with Victor, I really felt like he had such a vision for this film and a direction for this film that we always felt safe, that he knew he was a storyteller, and he is a storyteller, so he knew what he was doing with it, but he allowed us to create our characters within that world. So he set a really safe environment for us.
Well, you touch on a good point, and one of the things, and I'll speak for Victor, and you being an actor, you're going to know exactly where I'm going with this, but a lot of times you get directors that are fresh out of film school. Maybe they popped a commercial or two and an MTV video, and now they somehow work their way into a feature film before they weren't an intern on a set for a couple of years and work their ways up and maybe an assistant camera operator, and now they're a cinematographer, and work their way up to the director's chair, where they can appreciate that position of being director, and they didn't pay for that position of being director, if you know what I'm saying. So you don't have that. And so with Victor, whose career was always cinematographer, I know I'm speaking for Victor right now, but he was always planning on when I'm going to direct, I'm going to do this right. I'm not going to be that guy.
Well, yeah. Also, I cheated too because for about 10 years I was a commercial director and director cameraman. So I plus this is what's interesting about a role of a director of photography. The best directing school in the world is working for every director in town.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm saying. Am I right, Nicholas?
You are correct. And actually, I tell people this. I mean, although I've been working as an actor for a while now, when I first started out, I actually started out as a production assistant.
That's what I'm saying.
Due to the opportunity being there, I worked on a movie came to Iowa, which is where I'm from, and I got to know the director, and he went down to North Carolina to work on another movie. And he's like, if you want to come down and work as a production assistant, I'll get you a job. So I just got in my car and drove down there and started doing it. Had really no idea what I was doing and threw myself into it and did a few more jobs after that, doing it as a production assistant. And I tell people on set all the time that experience was so invaluable to me because I knew that it wasn't all about me when I'm on the set, even though actors try to sometimes make it that way. It's not all about the actor. There's a huge thing that's going on, and everybody's playing a part in it, and it gives me such a greater respect for every department in the movie making process. I feel like that's how I approach it.
But that's exactly it. You're 100% right. You need to pay your dues. You need to go on a couple of cappuccino runs. You've got to pay you do. Otherwise, you don't respect. And that goes for anything else in life in general. I will say this really quick. Nicholas, did you meet Mike Barra? Victor, did he meet Mike Barra?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike just tweeted in. So how you doing, Mike? But he just tweeted in.
Hey,
Victor Goss rocks. We had Mike on the show last night, and you know what? We didn't talk about the movie last night. It was kind of strange. I don't know how that got past us.
Yeah.
But
Mike didn't have a large role in the movie. What happened was he came down to visit on the set the day that we were doing the big channeling scene where she channels the voice of the dead girl.
Right.
And so basically we said, well, Mike, we got to get you in the movie. So he was there, and then we did some interviews with Mike, which are on the DVD extras, which is available on that other site.
Okay.
Was
and
he one of the ambassadors?
Yeah, no, he I think he was.
He was. Yeah.
I think he was. The Dr. Physics 2012.
Right, that was the name that we gave him, but he was part of the ambassadors.
Right. Hey, Nicholas, thank you for calling in, my brother.
Yeah, thank you for the kind remarks. Yeah,
absolutely, Victor. Well, they're kind and true. So,
all the best, Nicholas.
It did take you all day to write them, but thank you.
Right. Yeah. All the you can send the check to. No, I'm just.
Okay, well, I have your address. Don't worry about it. Check's in the mail.
And Nicholas is a first-time caller, and he had a great question, but I'm sure he's got his own copy of the movie, so we'll save that for the next call.
Give it to somebody else.
You got it. Thank you, Nicholas.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Good night. And let's just keep it rolling. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black with Victor Goss and Jimmy Church. Who's calling? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Elise Robertson calling.
Elise.
Hey, Victor.
Wow.
I heard Nicholas on talking, and I just got home from set, so I thought I would call in and say hi as well.
That is so great. This is Elise Robertson. She is, in fact, Doris, the Doris I had been looking for 19 years.
We were just talking about you, by the way. Were your ears burning?
Maybe just slightly.
Somebody made a comment, and Elise, I do have a really direct question for you. But there was somebody just made a comment that the trailer seemed funny in a good way, right? It seems funny, and the movie. Although the subject of apocalypse and in the beginning of the movie, it seems like it's going to go into a really dark place. And it does in a way, but also it's funny. It's definitely got its moments of funniness. And you are kind of both, Elise. In some parts of the movie, I want to laugh, and in some parts of the movie, I mean, at that same moment, there's a serious side of it. So how did you handle that with the character?
Well, first of all, thank you, because I think the movie is very funny, and that was one of the things that endeared me to the script when I first read it. I thought, that there's so much here that is thoughtful and thought-provoking, but it's so funny, it's irreverent, and it's treating this subject matter in a way that makes it so accessible. So that's what made me fall in love with the script. So I'm glad that was your experience.
Yeah, like I said, it's a tough. I mean, you can go either way with this movie, and when you look at the title, you're like, oh man, okay, here we go. Everybody dies. But as I started, I was like, wow, this is. I'm really digging this. I'm not saying this because Victor's on the show. I'm not. I called Rita today, and I said, Rita, this is some good stuff. It is really well done. So, but like I said, it's funny, but at the same time, in the same line that you're delivering, it's also pretty serious. It's a pretty serious subject.
Yeah. Well, to me, there isn't really a line between humor and the rest of life.
Well put.
I guess that's where, and maybe that's just because, I have two young children right now, but to me, I feel like everything has that tweak to it, where you better find it a little bit funny or ironic, or it's just
yeah.
too much, so.
Well, okay. I asked the same question to Nicholas. How was Victor as a boss?
Oh, great.
He didn't have. Tell me the truth. Did he have his own director's chair with his name on the back?
I don't think there were any chairs at any location that we were at. It was so guerrilla. It was great. No, we were just out there, in fields, and in one of the sets was a house of a friend of mine here in Highland Park. No, he was very just doing everything, so he was not standoffish in any way, and in fact was wearing many, many hats. But as a director, in terms of the storytelling, just had such a clear sense of I think who Doris was, but also open to what I had to bring to her.
Right.
Well,
yeah,
it was
a wonderful.
We've said before when we talked, you and I created Doris together. It was not a sole creation of mine.
Oh, that's
well. I'll tell you guys a funny story. Since I have the lead actor and the director writer on the show together, let me tell you, you guys are going to laugh. This is a true story. And I'll make it very short. Calls are coming in too, so I'll make it very short. My brother-in-law owned a facility, still does, over here in North Hollywood. Big kitchen industrial setup. And what do you call it? Location Scout picked us out and said that they wanted to shoot a movie there. Okay, cool. All right. So they come in for a couple of days and they come in and shoot. Well, on the first night of shooting, we're shooting outside, and I'm there just to, manage this large building with my wife. And so we're all there, and the family's there. But anyway, we're shooting this thing outside, and the catering trucks are out there and everything. And I go and I'm watching the assistant director, the AD, set up this scene, and they start shooting. And the AD is really cool. There's no director, right? There's the main guy's not there. So I go over, and there's two of the director's chairs sitting behind the camera. And they've been empty all night, and I'm watching them set up for the scene, and there's this kung fu fighting scene, really cool. And I go over, and I sit in the director's chair. Right? And I sit down, and I'm with the AD, and he's cool. We're talking, and we're looking at the little monitor, and, they're doing another take. And dude pulls up, the director pulls up in his car, and he's got a couple of chicks with him. I'm not making this up. And
Wow.
He comes up to me in the middle of this shooting of the scene and taps me on the shoulder and says, "You're in my chair." You know what I did? I got up, I walked away and went to the catering truck, got a plate full of food, and I went in the other building. I never came out all night. I was like, what a douche. You know, why everybody's having a good time. Everybody's cool. Why do you gotta have that dude? You haven't even been here all night. The whole crew has been here setting up the scene. Your AD is shooting the scene. You know, he's doing his work, and you want to pull up in the middle of the shooting and come up and tap somebody on the shoulder and go, dude, you're in my chair. You know, and so Victor wasn't like that. That's my point.
No. Oh, gosh,
but that's just because we didn't have chairs.
Oh, man.
Okay, that was okay. Maybe that was a little bit of an exaggeration. But I don't remember you having a chair, a director's chair on the set. I don't think you ever sat down, Victor. You were working so hard.
Yeah.
Hey, Elise. Hey, really quick, Elise. I would just want to say thank you for calling in. And we've got calls backed up, and I've got to take some other calls. I don't want to talk to you all night, but
great. Well,
you know how it is.
Thank you so much for having me on, and yeah.
Thank you so much.
No, Elise. Thank you for taking your time. I know you shot all day, and you're working, and you come in and join us tonight, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Well, take care.
Elise Robertson. That is Doris. Everybody, thank you, Elise. Let's just jump into the next call. See, this is what it's like, Victor. You have to understand. Call in Thursday. It is back to back to back to back.
That's totally cool.
Yeah, it is great. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black with Victor Goss and Jimmy Church. Who's calling? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Jimmy, this is Arturo Portillo.
Arturo. Oh, my goodness gracious. How are you, Art?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
Everything is good tonight, my brother. And Victor, this is Arturo, a member of the Fadernauts. I haven't talked to you in a while, though, Arturo.
Yeah, I know. I've been busy. I've been writing scripts for some producers up in Florida and one in Texas. So I've been pretty busy. You know,
Arthur is a graduated film student, by the way, Victor. And probably about a year ago, he hooked up with our show in the very, very, very beginning, and had sent us, and we reposted one of his first film shorts. It was really cool too, by the way, Arturo.
Thank you.
But again, welcome to the show. Let's just shoot it right over to Victor. What have you got for Victor? Director and director. That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. Thank you. Victor. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm really I'm going to watch it right now.
Great.
But I had a question. It took you 18 years to start making the movie, or I mean, you knew the concept from that era or that time?
It's sort of an amazing story, isn't it? I mean, Jimmy and I were talking about this earlier on the phone. You know, the conception is that it takes a year or maybe 2 years to make a movie. And in fact, it maybe has a life in distribution for 7 or 12 years or whatever. But the thing that we usually don't talk about is the development and where it comes from. I mean, unlike the Coen brothers who wrote 20 scripts and then decided to, go out and make them all, and they were all brilliant. Often what happens is that, there's a long period of gestation where you work on a project and it gets a little bit of footing and then it falls apart. In the case of Apocalypse, according to Doris, about 2 years, as soon as I finished the script, which was in that first year, quite a long time ago, it went to the IFFM, which is the Independent Feature Film Market in New York, which you may be familiar with the Independent Feature Project there, and it was selected as I think we got a full page whatever with it. And then shortly after that, I got a Academy Award-winning female actress who agreed to play the role. And she was going to participate as a producer. This was maybe a year after we had the script finished. And we started going to pre-production. Things really got screwed up. The whole thing fell apart. I then took the project to some investors in New York and didn't make any headway. I put that down, started working on one of the other projects that I was working on. I probably have 5 different projects that are at different stages of development right now. Let's Kill Mommy is one that's going into packaging right now. But and I mean, believe me, if I was to, calculate what I was being paid for this, it would be far below minimum wage at this point. But it's been basically a whole career of developing and moving these projects into production and moving them, to the ultimate, to the audience to see distribution, in other words, which is another story in itself. So that's why it took so long. I think the film could have been up in its feet probably in about 2 years, the way that it was going. And we had not a major, but an important independent distributor behind it. We probably, the film would have been forgotten by now, because it was that long ago. So,
Arturo, thank you. Yeah, thank you for calling, my brother. And do you have anything else really quick?
Oh, yeah. I heard that you had another signed copy of the movie.
Yeah, but you got to be a first-time caller, man.
Oh, first-time caller.
Man, you're the captain of the Fadernauts, man. You know what? I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you what. I got to keep things honest when I say it's got to be a first-time caller and so forth. But you know what? I will make sure that Victor signs a copy and sends it to you. Okay?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd be glad to.
Arturo. Oh, of course. Of course, if you have it for purchase, I'll buy it.
No, stop that. Arturo, stop that. Okay? Stop that right now, my brother. Yeah, we'll get you square. And I think Rita's got your address, but if she doesn't, you know what to do.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, well, thank you very much.
And thank you, Arturo. All the best, man.
Thanks much.
You got it. Same to you guys.
You got it. Yeah, he Victor, he's been with us since the beginning, and it's when he sent us his first film short that he shot. I mean, I was just like, you know what? This is what makes me proud. Yeah. It is so hard. It's easy to talk. It's another thing. I don't care if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, to put a project together and actually get everybody to get a script, get some cameras, get it shot, take it to the next level of editing and looking and prep and everything else. And he got it done, man. And it was actually really well. I've got another friend of mine. His name is Vic Wright. I don't know if he's listening right now, but Vic had a band in the 80s, pretty substantial game changer in Hollywood called Johnny Crash. Mm-hmm. And today he's now he's a director. And they put a short together, pretty cool. Now they've shot a feature length that is making the circuits as far as festivals go. It's a pretty cool film. But anyway, it takes a lot. I've watched, just like you were just saying, 18 years. 18 years to me in the film business, that's just like whatever. That's what you've got to do. And here we are now. Vic has been doing this now for 5 years. Wolf McCarran, one of our guys on this show, is his editor, but they've got it done, and it's not an easy thing to do. I can't say.
No, it's a lot like building a house. I mean, there's a lot of comparables. It takes a lot of dreaming, a lot of planning, a lot of thinking, and then you basically end up screwing it up along the way. Excuse my language.
No, Brad just posted. It's a pain even doing an audio production. Sure. Yeah. Take the video away, making a record or doing it like a podcast. The armchair people out there, it's so funny. If you think it's easy, go do a podcast. Just go do it. Go do a video short, put it up on YouTube. You and I were talking earlier today. One of the beautiful things about today is the ability to get things done. If you think you're worthy and you want to get it out there, whether it's an album, a movie, a TV show, a series, a cartoon, whatever it is, a radio show, whatever it is that you wanted, well, you know what? You have the ability now to go and get it done. It doesn't mean that people are going to watch it, but if you think you're worthy and if it's good, then people will watch it. And you don't have to have the man telling you no. It's up to you now. You can go and get Vegas or go get Final Cut, go get Pro Tools, and get busy. Get it done. Go get a microphone. Go get a camera, and get it done. You don't have to. listen to some guy, some fat dude with a cigar on the other side of the desk going, you know what, man, you're no good. We're going to pass.
You're right. And, I was just, I was following your lead and I was checking out Primer. I mean, I'm really impressed with what I've seen of that film. I mean, the idea was so clean and so sharp and so, to the point. And it was done with such care and craftsmanship. I mean, these people, I don't know, like you said, they may not have had a lot of experience, but they sure as hell knew what they were doing. I was really impressed with what I saw. And this film cost $7,000.
Yep. $7,000. And it was funny because on this show, we were talking about one night the best time travel movies. And so, everybody brings up the normal, and I understand that, and even jumped into the modern stuff like Looper, and I get that. 12 Monkeys, I understand that, of course. Back to the Future, 1, 2, and 3. I get all of that. I understand.
My favorite was Memento.
Memento is great.
Yeah.
A Time Traveler's Wife, another good one. But when I brought up Primer, it was amazing to me how many people saw that flick. And it never went mainstream. Let's just go into the next call. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black with Victor Goss and Jimmy Church. Who's calling? Where are you calling from?
Hello, this is Ashley. I'm calling from Sherman Oaks.
You're calling from down the street.
Down the street.
How are you,
Really?
sir?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Victor, I obviously know you and know you well, and
right.
I was interested in seeing what you both thought about the get-together a couple of weeks ago at the Contact in the Desert. What
Absolutely,
yeah. Takeaways from that were.
Wow.
Hey, Ashley, thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Now, I take it you two know each other before we get to Contact in the Desert. So have you seen Apocalypse According to Doris already?
I sure have. And
he was at the premiere, yeah.
Yeah, remarkably impressive film. I mean, it's just beautifully written and great direction and cinematography. It's a good film.
Yeah, he's definitely onto something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Hey, Ashley, I've lived in Sherman Oaks for the last since 1990, 91.
Wow.
So what part of Sherman Oaks?
I'm in up in the hills by Ventura Canyon Avenue. Are you?
Oh yeah.
There?
Yeah, I lived on the corner of Noble and Dickens, right behind where where Oz is now.
Hey,
but
barbecue.
Yeah. Back in the day, it was Tower Records and Tower Video. You remember that?
Right.
So I lived there back in the day. That used to be a parking lot back there. And then they tore that parking lot out and put in the retirement home that is there now. But my condo faced that retirement home, so
that's where I'm phoning from, the retirement. That's amazing that you. You've been here for what, 25 years?
Yeah, absolutely. And Sherman Oaks is my little home, and I love it there. And back, something happened to Sherman Oaks in 88, 89, 90, 91, 92. It was still quiet. The little newsstand on the corner of Van Nuys and Sherman or Ventura. It was a different community. Now Sherman Oaks is the place to be, and it's packed and crowded every night. But I enjoyed it. It is.
Town.
Yep, and the actors and
that little strip that you're talking about, where the Oz and all the shops were, it seems to go into, it gets rejuvenated, then it goes into decline, and it never seems to take off like Studio City.
Well,
I never really understood that.
Well, you know what's funny? Right on the corner of Van Nuys and Ventura Boulevard, where the newsstand is, that corner shop has changed hands like 20 times in the last 20 years. They can't keep the same business in there. Think about it. It's been a sandwich shop. It's been a hoagie shop. It's been a pizza place. Then it was I don't even know what it is today. I can't keep up with it. But yeah, you're right.
Oh no, it's Crave. Is that Crave? No, that's a little bit further down the street.
Right. But the one thing that I do love is across the street from there is Mon. You guys ever eat a Mon?
no.
Oh,
no.
it's a Chinese stir-fry noodle / Japanese.
Noodles.
/ Japanese sushi.
Victor and I live for noodles. We go anywhere for noodles.
All right.
We'll
Well,
have to try this one.
I'll throw that over to. Thank you, Ashley. I'll throw that over to Victor, and I'll let him answer. I would send you a DVD, but you've already got one.
I've seen it. I do indeed. Not signed, but I do have one. Okay.
I'll sign
guys.
it for you.
And thank you, Ashley.
Thanks, Ashley.
All right, bye-bye.
All the best.
Yeah, well, I did sort of want to talk about Contact in the Desert. It was an amazing experience. We were only able to be there Sunday and Monday, but Sunday night we were at Mike Barrett's party, and everybody was there, and we got to talk to Jim Marrs for an hour, just Ashley and I alone, while all the noise was going on around us. The most amazing, transcendent experience. Jim Marrs is the coolest guy.
Isn't he, though?
Absolutely.
Go ahead. No, I'll let you finish.
I was just going to make this sort of short because there are callers out there. Is that, Ashley and I say, well, Jesus, we're out there, at Joshua Tree. We've got to get out the giant rock. Well, how are we going to do it? It was so busy. I heard you guys talking last night about the fact that it was so busy that nobody got away on the tours to get out there. So we jumped in the car Monday early and took off, got a little breakfast, and went out there. And it was really an amazing experience. We and then learned a little bit about George Van Tassel and what had happened there back in 1959 when there were, I think it was 11,000 people
exactly
came to a UFO meeting out in the middle of the desert with no water, no toilets, except his wife had built a little cafe. And I was thinking maybe it was a promotional deal to get the cafe business going because there's nothing out there.
I heard about her boysenberry pie.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah.
Let's grab another call. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black with Jimmy Church and Victor Goss. Who's calling? Where are you calling
Jimmy,
from?
Hello.
Yeah, hello. We're here.
Jimmy, hey, great to talk to you, man. This is Dean over in New York, and I just wanted to call and say I love the show, and I also wanted to say I love your guests, you guys are really lucky in the West Coast because you have all the cool stuff like Contact in Desert. Over here, we're a little dry for that. So,
hey, Dean, before you ever say anything like that, I was talking with some friends the other day, and I say this nearly every day. There is nothing like New York City. Nothing.
Oh, you're right.
Not Moscow, not London, not Rome.
That's right.
Pick a city, Beijing, Hong Kong, Rio. Pick a city. No. New York City, man, is where it's at. Every time I go to New York, I go to New York and I put my foot on the ground when I get there. The electricity goes up my leg, hits me between my eyeballs, and no, there's nothing like New York. So you've always got that on us. All right, Dean, what have you got? First-time caller, too. Very cool.
Yeah, first-time caller. I've been listening to the show for a while, and I love the show. You're just absolutely great, man. And I actually can listen to it on YouTube, but a lot of times I try to catch you live. And I love what the guest that called earlier said about the family part because it is really cool because I've actually been listening to you a while before the Malibu base thing that you brought up. And I was listening to you the night that you talked when George Norrie called in. That was kind of weird.
Oh,
Your
you
show
called?
is incredible. Your show is incredible, man. It's just incredible. Your personality, the way you treat people that call in, it's amazing. So I just really wanted to call and thank you for the great show and adding the extra night because it's great. And I can finally catch you, live a lot more now that, you're later in the week. So just thank you so much, man.
Hey, thank you, Dean. The check's in the mail. Now, first thing, if you want this DVD, pop off a really good question to Victor.
Well, I wanted to ask him about, Contact in the Desert and just to kind of expand, because I didn't get to go to that, obviously. And what are some of the things that he talked about directly at Contact in the Desert that he hasn't maybe talked about before?
Okay, we'll get to that. Dean, what I want you to do, shoot Rita an email. I've got the notes here. Shoot Rita an email with your address, and you'll get a copy of Apocalypse signed by Victor Goss. How's that?
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dean. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dean.
You have a good night.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Yeah, I do want to get to Contact in the Desert. Let's talk about that in a second when we finally get a break. And I haven't said this is KJCR, only on the Dark Matter Radio Network. This is Fade to Black. We're talking to Victor Goss. And, okay, I had 3 calls. We'll get to the phone lines are open finally. Woo! Man, yeah.
It's been a busy night.
Oh, it's like this every Thursday. It's amazing. I love it. The thing is, Victor, with this show, every night, we have a guest. That's cool. I know what's going on. It's I can plan. I can strategize a little bit, and I'm calm and collected. Thursday night, man, I'm geeked up. Man. It's an adrenaline rush, and
you have such an amazing bunch of listeners. I'm really impressed.
It's not me. It's the show. It's the family. Trust me on that. It's them.
I totally get it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, so now we've got a little space. No, we don't. The calls are coming back in. I was going to go to contact. Let's just do it. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black with Victor Goss and Jimmy Church. Who's calling? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Christian calling from Hollywood, California.
Hey, Christian.
How are you?
We've got another cast member.
Oh, is that it?
Christian played Dr. Apperson, who was dying of a disease that had been unnamed. I withheld it from the cast as long as possible, but it was a disease of a fatal disease of the nervous system called pareidolia.
Oh, the famous how do you die of that? How did you get that into the script?
You just completely suck, and that, you turn into nothing.
Oh,
and you
man.
you die slowly, and I believe it's someone asked us at a Q&A once, and I said that the disease came from unconscious guilt of the character manifested because he so wanted to die for what he had done, for the sins he had committed, taking money from his church.
Well, that's actually the Greek translation of pareidolia, is what you just said. It's a Greek translation of that. I'm just kidding.
Oh man, I was like, what? Yeah. Christian, if you don't mind, and I hit Elise with this earlier. If you don't mind, I'm just going to throw this out. What was it like working with Victor? Was he a pain in the butt?
No, not at all.
I tried so hard.
Victor was incredibly focused, and I was very proud to help bring his vision to the screen. It takes so much singular focus to really make this happen, and I'm surprised he didn't. He may have fallen over from exhaustion after the shoot, but during the shoot he was on his game the entire time, and it was a great one. It was a great one as I look back on it. And I think the film has a lot more audience that needs to find it. And I think it really speaks to the people who have seen it and the characters involved. It spoke to me. The script spoke to me in its symbolism.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And was it when you do something like this at this level? And what I mean is, this isn't a $200 million production where you will drop your morals for a paycheck, whether you like the character or not. But when you do a film like this, now it's a labor of love. And you want to do it because it is what it is. And that's why I think it stands on its own, because you can tell there's passion in this movie from the beginning. As soon as I started watching it, you can tell that nobody is doing this for a paycheck. Everybody is really acting in this movie. And I know you know exactly what I'm talking about, Christian.
Yeah, absolutely. This, everyone involved was very passionate about the story, and Victor's. You know what? It's infectious when a filmmaker is passionate about their story.
That's right.
Because you know what? Like anything, you jump on the cause, and then you want to help. Bring it to manifestation, and the energy that was behind this project. It's still unfolding, and it's a type of film that asks questions. And, that's why I love, your radio program, because you're constantly asking questions. And I think we have to do that. We live in a society these days where people, if you ask a question, you could get ostracized.
Well,
and you're doing it nightly.
Well, Hollywood will ostracize you too, in a weird way, when you start to go off into the fringe a little bit too much. And what was your interest in paranormal before the film, Christian?
Well, I actually produced a conference about 2012 back in 2008 with Jordan Maxwell, Daniel Pinchbeck.
Whoa, okay.
And many other book authors and luminaries. And so for me, it was, I've always been fascinated with the subject of alternative theories as well. What's out there, what we're not, what we're not looking at from a different angle. There's that great John Carpenter film, They Live.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has some wonderful symbolism in that film, and psychologically speaking, the films that we see projected outward, it's all, very much a lot of films are dealing with the dynamic of the father and the son, and that father may be sometimes Earth. Maybe God. It could be an actual father. I find that horror films, if you look at all the horror films, there's this paternal evil in all of them, and it's just the same character, and it's in a perverted sense, it's God. It's ego's viewpoint of what a God is, a God that would take us out of this world, take me out of my identity. That's Freddy Krueger. And so when you look at it from that way, you go, my God, we're looking at a Holy Father as a Freddy Krueger, as a Michael Myers, as a Jason. That to me is when you can look at it from a different perspective, I find it to be fascinating. And I love film and storytelling, and to be involved in this business is great, and to be able to look at it from a deeper, psychoanalytical viewpoint.
Right.
It takes my work even deeper.
You brought up They Live, and one of the things I think most people either didn't see that film, or when they did see it, because of the name, right, They Live, and it's going to be this horror film. One of the things about that flick, when you watch it today with our knowledge of what we have today, you watch They Live today, and it is truly a horror flick. That is because of the way that it's just like, man, you know what? This could be real. And that's what I mean about the horror aspect. There's some undertone to that movie from the beginning to the end that is very significant. And I watch that movie now almost with a documentary set of eyes. And I'm being serious too. I'm not playing around. They Live is a serious flick. That is a serious movie.
Well, I always thought it was real.
Yeah, right. Right.
That's who I am.
Oh, and I think anybody would agree today. It's funny looking back. So, hey, Christian, thanks for calling in, my brother.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Victor, all the best, and thanks so much for having me on, guys.
Same to you.
Yeah, thank you, Victor, and thank you for listening to the show. I really appreciate that. I think Victor is gone. Okay.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, no, now he's officially gone. Sorry about that, Christian. Okay, we're rolling right into the next one. This is Dino. Dino, how are you tonight, sir?
Oh, pretty good. I'm not going to be. And how are you tonight, Victor? I'm not going to be too deep tonight, but I do want to ask a couple of things if I can change the subject, and then I'll make a comment about the movie business.
Okay.
I can't hear Victor. Can he hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, he's there. We're all here.
I just came back. Yeah, okay. I dropped off and just came back.
Okay. Well, I was listening all this week, even though I didn't call in, and when you had Chuck on about the 37th parallel, very interesting. I'd like to see more about that.
Absolutely.
And I was disappointed, like a lot of the Fadernauts that were tweeting last night, because we couldn't see, your UPARS presentation. I guess that was Tuesday.
Yes.
So you have plans to put the video and some of the photographs that are not up on your website here?
Yeah, what we're going to do with that, we'll have the video of the entire show, and then all of the images that were discussed in UPARS will be in the video, so everybody
Wonderful.
will be able to go back. Yes.
Yeah, because it kind of lost a few of us. I listened the whole night, but it wasn't the same. We have to be visual.
Yeah,
Okay,
and let me say this, Dino, and I'll say this to everybody listening right now. One of the treats that everybody gets every night on this show is we combine video and imaging along with the show. And so the normal audience didn't get that. But the audience there that night, Dino, at UPARS, those 200 people, they enjoyed the show that you normally enjoy every night.
Oh, that's
so
great.
you know what I mean? So they loved it. And we'll get it back and we'll put up a full video with everything on it, and there you go. So, but you know what? They got to enjoy it for a night. So they got to see what you guys enjoy every night on Fade to Black. But thank you for that.
Right, and we'll hear more about the 37th parallel, because I'm really starting to trip on that.
Yeah, we're all tripping on that.
Well, then I wanted to tell Victor, I don't want to get negative or anything here, but I had the fortune for 5 years to do some background acting on Nash Bridges when I was living in San Francisco.
Oh, the phone call dropped and I didn't get your name. What is your name?
Dino.
Dino. Okay. Did we meet?
Yes. We may have. I'm no big shot. No big
me
shot.
Either.
Well, I might have seen you around. It was a nice group. I talked to Cheech a couple of times, but
that was amazing.
basically I was just your thorn in the side union activist there for SAG and now SAG-AFTRA. I'm not working.
I remember. Yeah.
Well, hold on. Let me help you both out here. I'm assuming that you were a camera cinematographer for Nash, correct?
I was the director of photography. We had maybe 4 to 6 cameras going at any time, so I never touched a camera.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say, Dino, he was the guy that was probably looking into the lens. So,
well, all I know.
No,
is
I was the guy that was sitting in the chair.
Yeah. All right.
All I know is that one time I got featured. That was one thing about great. A lot of local actors got little bits. They had a group of 5 cops there that were guys I knew all, and they all got work, some of them for a couple of years, being the guys that were in the Special Investigations Unit around Nash there.
Okay, so Dino, a question for Victor real quick?
Well, I guess the question would be, it's less of a question. I really support, as much as I'm a strong union advocate of the acting, and I really support these low budgets. And the only thing I would ask is, Victor, when you become a big shot, because I had a woman who was one of my classmates in high school who started off on a small film called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Hollywood took a risk with that, and we all know where all those stars and directors went. So if you become a big shot, I hope you'll hire people like me that you remember from the old days to at least make me a day player for a week.
Well, from your lips to God's ears, and we'll make a deal if that happens for sure.
But you're one of the nicer directors. John Emil's one. I think Chris Columbus. Whenever they worked up in the Bay Area, but then there were the jerks, and we won't get into them.
Wow.
Well, filmmaking is really tough, and that was a very tough show. And
thank you, Dino.
Yeah, thanks, Dino.
Thank you.
Dino's always taking his calls off the air, so now he's going to go and listen. There's a 10-second delay.
Oh, okay. That was what threw me off. Yeah, I was just saying that, I very much respect the unions. As a matter of fact, when we put Apocalypse According to Doris together, my producer, who had never worked, well, I won't say that, she actually had done union work before, actually knew more about it than I did from the producing standpoint. I was very strong, and that was the basis of what the show was going to be. There's no way we were going to go without having SAG support us and vice versa.
Right. Let's go right into the next call. Here we go. You are live on Fade to Black with Victor Goss and Jimmy Church. Who's calling? Where are you calling from?
It's yet again Lou from Rancho Cucamonga. I'm curious to know, when I watch a movie, I have to watch it several times just to pick up a lot of the nuances. would he be willing to give us a good plot summary so that, in a sense, it serves almost as the first view so we can watch it in more detail? I don't know if that's asking too much, but that'd be my request.
Well, what I'll say to you is, if you go to those links, you'll find all those things there. You'll find it on the Facebook, the YouTube page that you go to for the free movie. So it's all there.
Right.
So just
when we say
click
it
through.
is all there, I mean, I can watch the movie there.
No, what I'm saying is that if you go to
Yeah,
if you go to doristhemovie.com, which is the
Right.
movie website, and then click Watch Movie, it'll take you to the streaming page, and you have a choice there of watching the movie for free. And if you click that link, it'll take you to the YouTube free movie page, and that'll be open through the end of September.
I know.
And all of that is there under the About, the description.
Okay.
Oh, there's an About?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You
Well,
know-
thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Lou. All the best. Lou Sheehan. He is our house attorney here at Fade to Black, and a stickler for details, as you can see, Victor.
And an important man, I would think.
You got to have every show like this needs a Lou. Lou is absolutely amazing. Now, this is what. Okay, now this is and everything that we talked about today on the phone, none of it happened tonight. And I warned you, Victor. I told you we wouldn't get back to any of the cool stuff that we were talking about.
Right.
But I wanted to ask you, and what was it like working with Fred Savage? I just have to know. He was so young. What was he like at that age?
It was one of the best experiences. Just to put it in simple terms, Fred's a lovely guy. It's a lovely kid, and what I have to. The most important thing I could say about Wonder Years is that there wasn't anybody on that show who didn't have kids, and who those kids on the set didn't represent our own children to us. Plus the fact that it represented what happened to us when we went to school as kids. It was the most family-oriented show behind the camera, I think, that ever existed. And there was absolute love between all of the actors, all of the players, all of the crew. And the producers protected those kids and the crew like, a mother hen. So, and I don't think I'm overstating the case or being poetic about it. This is really the way that it was. I was only able to work on the show for 1 year because I got my own TV series to shoot, which was Gabriel's Fire with James Earl Jones, we had some interesting stories there to tell. But later, the show ran for about 6 years or 7 years. My son actually cut his teeth working on that show as an intern, carrying boxes and sweeping floors and stuff like that. And later became quite a successful cinematographer in his own right. He was trained by all of these, mentors on the set, these adults. And it was an amazing experience. Fred now has become, a very important director. And, he's doing really great work.
I was just going to do this. I'm going to do this now in real time. That's all he is doing is directing. He has been directing. He has got quite the list of stuff here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's good to see somebody like him. Oh, Ron Howard too. I mean, it's easy to use Ron as a barometer to all of this, but Fred's another guy that didn't lose it. He kept it together. I can't imagine at such a young age acting, going into other worlds with your mind as you're developing yourself as a child. Forget about as an actor and as a job, but you want to be able to live your life and grow up and be normal. And Fred managed to keep himself normal. It's tough to do.
Fred has wonderful parents who protected him from all of that stuff that screws people up in the film business. They didn't, he had an allowance of about, I think, $5 a week. He went to public school. He did all the things that the rest of the kids did. The parents were very careful to protect him. Did a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's get back to the question. Okay, now let's get back to Contact in the Desert. So when we're going to do a Van Tassel evening this Monday with Chad Meek. Now, Chad is George's nephew, and he actually lived out there and grew up and went through the 60s and the 70s and all of those conventions that you were talking about out there. And you're absolutely right. I can't imagine 10,000 people out there without porta potties. I don't know how they pulled that off. I say porta potty. Think about that for a second. 10,000 people, 11,000.
Well, that was the first thing that I thought about. How could, I mean, it's like, Burning Man, right? That's such a big deal.
Right. Yeah, same thing. So when you went out to, totally the same thing. When you went out to Giant Rock,
yeah, did
you feel the vibe? I haven't been there yet. I'm going to go out there very soon.
Okay, well, don't bring your Porsche. You're going to have to come out with something that's got a high center because the roads are a little, beaten up and rutted and potholed and stuff like that. But it's not too far from where the pavement ends. I think it's about 1.5 miles or 2 miles. And when you see the rock, you see it from a distance where you really fully appreciate its size. I mean, it's the size of a ship.
It is. It's well, I've heard different descriptions, and I've seen a million photographs, but 16 stories tall. Does it really hit you as that being that big?
Well, I thought it was 7, but it's really big, and it's just sitting all out by itself away from the rest of the rock pile that it fell off of. I understand 100,000 years or 10,000 years ago, so it's been there for quite a while.
Yeah.
The vibe starts when you get to Joshua Tree. And then as you leave the quote-unquote civilization in Joshua Tree and head out there, you really start getting into some serious high desert, and it's all, dry lake beds and stuff. I mean, much like China Lake or something like that. And you can't, I mean, this is the thing about Apocalypse according to Doris, about 1/3 of the film was shot on the dry lake bed. And it's very difficult. For us, it was summer and it was hot. And it's very difficult to be out there and to not be completely affected by this incredible sense of space. And I don't know if I would use the word magnetism, but it's something that changes your conscious attention. Your focus changes totally. Now, as far as the rock putting out, something that, we were enjoying ourselves too much and taking pictures to really be able to get to that point. But I understand that people go there and they meditate and they have some really wonderful experiences, and I wouldn't doubt it.
I've been watching these tweets go by all night. Zoog Zoog. What is Zoog Zoog?
I don't know. I'm an old guy.
Yeah, I feel like something passed me. Jimmy, say Zoog Zoog. Say Zoog Zoog. Zoog Zoog. Zoog Zoog. Got a couple of emails. Okay, I just said it. So somebody help me out with this. Okay, when you did the apartment that was underneath the rock, is that still there? Is that sealed up? Can you get under the rock anymore?
I've heard a lot of stories. You can get under the rock a little bit. Apparently, what happened was there was a raid when. I forget the guy's name, who was Klink or something like that, the guy who lived under there, the prospector. Look, all these guys had aerospace connections. Really interesting. He came out there and they worked in the aerospace industry in either Manhattan Beach or Santa Monica or something like that back in the early days, the late 40s. And the first thing they did was this guy Klink. I don't have his name right, but it's something like that. There's a dry lake bed right next to it, so he built an airstrip. And so people were flying in, from Howard Hughes, for example, loved the place for some reason, and he came out there all the time. And I don't know if Klink worked for Howard Hughes, but it was one of the
No, George. I think George worked for Howard Hughes.
George did. Okay, yeah. So he was out there. So planes came in and out, and I didn't get a chance to go out to the lake bed to see if there's any remnants of but the lake bed changes with the seasons, with the rain and stuff. And there's no history really that can be seen. But apparently, what happened was that Klink got into trouble with the cops because he was a real individualist or something, and they raided the place and they shot the place up. And I understood that there was some dynamite that he used for whatever he was a prospector.
Right, yeah.
And the dynamite went off that he had stored under there, and that's what blew the apartment up. And so it's just a pile of rubble, and you can sort of get down on your belly and snake in. But these people come out there and they drink beer, and with their spray cans they spray graffiti on it. And I mean, it's history, but it's very immediate history.
Was there anybody else out there when you went out?
Well, we stopped at the Integratron.
That was my next call. Hold on, stop,
Yeah.
stop, because we're going to go there in a second. No, I mean when you drove out to Giant Rock and you got there, was there anybody else checking out the site,
Yes.
or were you okay?
We met a couple from Contact in the desert, and they were wandering around checking the place out. And then there was a group of young kids that had come by just to for a hoot from probably not too far away, who were not with Contact in the desert.
Okay.
But basically, it was pretty quiet.
And you couldn't find the remnants of the airstrip, but you did get to the Integratron.
Yeah, because the paved road ends at the Integratron. And there's a sort of a curator who's taking care of it now, who has a little hacienda right next to it. It's very pretty. And what they're doing is they're taking people in on meditation tours. Now, what's interesting about the Integratron, I know very little bit about it, but what I did learn was that when it was built by Van Tassel, he claimed that he had been in contact with aliens of some sort, and they'd given him instructions as to how to build the Integratron. And apparently, from what I could tell, it was built on something that we could describe as Tesla technology. It involved electromagnetic induction and so forth. There were coils involved, a lot of machinery and whatnot. And then the whole thing was built out of plywood and glue, so that there were no metal or any, electromagnetic interference or conductive material in the building itself. It looks like an observatory. It's got a domed roof and so forth. Matter of fact, that's what I thought it was at first.
Right.
And what they do is it has some really interesting acoustical effects. When you get into it, it's got sort of like the Sistine Chapel or something. But when you get inside, what they were doing were taking groups by appointment only, and they were booked up for like 3 weeks to have meditation experiences inside the Integratron. Apparently, it's a very, interesting experience.
Anthony Bourdain went out there too as well. I think he did a show with Queens of the Stone Age.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly. And Adam Gorightly, a great dude, by the way, great guy, just tweeted in. His name was Frank Kritzer.
That's it, right.
Yeah, not Klink.
Right, I had it wrong.
And he said you cannot get underneath the rock anymore. And it's weird. I haven't been out there yet, and I've heard Adam was on our show last month or the month before, and we talked about this. I am fascinated with getting underneath the rock. George lived under there for a while. I know that they re-cleared it out. It was like 400 square feet, very small. I know that George lived under there with his wife, and there's some really cool photographs of the little apartment that they had built, like bunk beds. Pretty crazy, actually.
Well, they had an outbuilding, too. The foundation is still there.
Well, I think that was probably the restaurant that they built.
Oh, okay.
They definitely had a restaurant there. When Howard Hughes used to fly out, he flew out for that boysenberry pie that George's that his wife built, or that his wife baked. And I've seen a lot of photographs of this little restaurant, and it looks shanty is the word that it wasn't Dan Tana's. I can tell you that.
Right.
That it wasn't. But I've got to get out there and see this. It is such a piece of history. What Chad is going to be on the show. He's got a movie coming out actually too, as well. It's called Giant Rock, and
really,
yeah. And they're finishing that up now. We'll find out what stage of the movie they're in on.
Well, I'm
Monday.
Absolutely fascinated by the rock. And that's something maybe that what you're talking about is you look at that rock and believe me, you're going to come back again and again.
Well, you see, this is the thing. And I don't know what happened. But something, for some reason, George Van Tassel, when we talk about history, when we talk about ufology, George is the guy that we don't talk about today. The hardcore ufologists that do their research and are fascinated with it, they do know about George. But George is not the household name that he needs to be.
No, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I'm totally bummed out about that. So I will wave this flag. I will wave the when I go. I don't know if you've taken the time, but if you go, and I say this every night on the show, I've created a monster with this, but I really mean this. Go and watch some of the George Van Tassel interviews on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, unbelievable what he says. And then there's a really famous television program, not really famous, but there's one video from 1964, 1963 that is there. You'll see him in a black suit sitting there. So go and watch that YouTube video. If you don't do anything else with Van Tassel, just go and watch that and listen to what he says about time travel and a couple of his the famous formula. But go and watch that. That'll blow your mind. But then reach back, Victor. Reach back and go, I'm so thankful that somebody in 1953, 1954, 55, 56, somebody was taping all of his public speaking. And you can go and listen to these speeches that he did publicly.
That is excellent.
Yeah, and the fact that it's there, these are 2 hours, 3 hours long, and you just listen and you can hear the crowd, not a peep.
Well, look, there was something going on with him, and I don't know what his contacts were and how it happened, but I do know that he was in great health and he mysteriously died suddenly. And then the next thing that happened was that one night, all of the high-tech equipment that had been built inside the Integratron went missing.
Adam Gorightly just said a couple of things really quick, and he's listening in real time. He just tweeted, he said, her name is Barbara Harris, and she lives out there. She is kind of a giant rock historian, and she's real cool. She's the lady that you're talking about. And Kit just posted. So what you want to do, Victor, right now on our Twitter feed, you can see the links to the interview that I was just referencing. And
Okay.
and she said there's a friend of mine that you should talk to who knows all about giant rock, and I'm sure she'd love to show you around. Her name is Barbara Harris. So, yeah, there you go.
Great. We'll go out there and talk to her. That's awesome.
Yeah, I cannot wait. I cannot believe that you and I, or that I was just out at Contact in the Desert with all of us Fadernauts, and we've been talking about giant rock, and we didn't go out there.
Well, I saw the look in your guys' face. It was so hot there, and you guys had worked so hard doing so many, events that when it was time to hit the road, there was no giant rock in your future.
You know what Rita and I did? This is the truth. I'll throw myself under the bus. Once we left town and we were already homesick and forlorn, we wanted to turn around. We weren't really saying it, but we got on the 10 freeway and we're heading back to Los Angeles. Now, remember, we had a show. We left on Sunday. We had a show on Monday night.
Yeah.
So we had to get the studio set back up and get ready for the show Monday. But I'm telling you right now, we was like, let's go back. Let's go back to Contact. And
that was the greatest event, I got to tell you.
Yeah, it was funny because heading away from Joshua Tree, and you're looking at the smog in Los Angeles and everything that is involved with what goes on here. We're like, man, Joshua Tree, let's turn around. Let's go back. And I'm going to say for about 15 seconds there was a silence in the car, and we were at that tipping point. We almost turned around and went back. And we can't now. We almost did, and I regret it. We should have turned around and gone back because Contact was that cool.
I was so impressed with the substantiality of the people who were speaking there. I mean, it was really something to behold.
Well, you mentioned Jim Mars. Who else freaked you out?
Let's see. I'm having one of those moments where you can't remember names. The woman who knows all of the reptilian stuff and who does all the, not Barbara Anclaw, but
Linda Moulton Howe.
Thank you, and forgive me, Linda, if you're listening, because I know the name just wouldn't come out. Yeah, she's incredible. I mean, she's a monster in that field, and I mean, so many fields. We weren't able to stay for a long time through her
presentation.
We had to hit the road to go out the giant rock, or else we wouldn't have made it. But yeah, that was really great.
Linda, when she was on the show that Friday night, I was able to. One of the cool things about doing a live show like that is you have the guest sitting right there next to you. Right. Now, we've all seen Linda so many times on television and video, and we've heard her on the radio so many times, and she's been a guest on the show. But when she was sitting next to me and talking, with her conviction, looking at me eyeball to eyeball, 2 feet away, about freaked me out. That's a woman that stands her ground. She's tough. And
she's a kick butt film producer too.
Oh, yes, she is. She's won a lot of awards. But her conviction, and she was looking at me, she had me, man. I was mesmerized. I was sucked in. She had me. Oh, absolutely mind-blowing.
Encyclopedic knowledge.
Yep. She was really good. Michael Tellinger was really good. I peeped into Giorgio's presentation. Also, David Wilcock went over to Richard Dolan and listened to him speak. But being able to go from building to building like that, out of contact with all of these presentations going on at the same time. I cannot imagine how cool it would have been as an attendee to be able to just go and look and go, okay, this guy's over here, this guy's over here, she's over here, and to be able to go and do that over 3 and 4 days. Stephen Greer doing his thing on stage. Marshall Klarfeld. It was insane. It was insane.
Well, it was a campus-like venue.
Yes.
And so while you were between the different individual venues, you were bumping into people and talking to people that you had either seen before or knew or were just meeting, and it was very congenial, very collegiate, and we were able to. I have a Volkswagen Westphalia camper, so what we did was we just pulled down the dirt road, and when we got tired, we popped the top and we spent the night in there, and then was up and at 'em for breakfast. But that night, as we were walking back to the camper, it was really dark, and we were saying, God, this is so amazing. We've heard so much, and and seen so many people in such a short period of time. It's like, God, if we could, just like find out where Greer is doing his thing and just listen in on it. And we heard his voice. And we started walking toward it. And that amphitheater area that was sort of in the center of the whole thing?
Yes.
That's where he was doing his, meditation for, ET contact.
And that was Monday night. And
that was Monday night, yeah.
Yeah, we had already left. And
was it Monday night?
Yeah, I think that was Monday night.
It was Sunday night.
Was it Sunday?
Yeah, it was Sunday night because we couldn't stay past Monday. So it was really interesting because I had wanted to participate in what he's done before. I never had been in the same proximity as him at any time, and we just stumbled upon it. It was really sort of interesting. I will say though that it in a way it was sort of disappointing because of the fact that. His great claim is that incredible interview series that he did many years ago. I mean, what he's done, he documented an encyclopedic record of probably, incomparable to any other compilation of UFO and alien sort of related, ET-related experiences from very high-ranking and important, very credible people, probably a document that will last forever. And I was particularly attracted to it because I couldn't really understand how all that worked, and that was one of the reasons why in the movie I created this idea of the ambassadors to outer space, because I wanted to sort of like mimic what he was doing and see where the guys went with it. And this leads into something I was thinking about when the show started. One of the people who were on before I came on had mentioned something about disclosure and being open to meeting aliens and all of that sort of stuff. I really share that sort of feeling, if in fact that exists. But there's something that sort of, sobers me, and that is that if these beings are out there doing these sorts of things, they may know things, they may have powers, they may have psychic psychic powers about them that would so intimidate a human being that you'd feel like a cowering dog, that I started thinking, well, maybe we should think about this just a little bit. So there's a surprise for everybody who watches Apocalypse According to Doris. I know that once you watch the end credits and all that boring stuff is over with, you want to turn it off as soon as you can, but stick with it to the end, because there's a little bit of a payoff there that addresses this question directly.
Check this out. Somebody just tweeted. He said, "Dude, you just said Fred Savage, and now I've got the Wonder Years theme going through my brain." And also another tweet. I just want to say this out loud. He says, "This is from Eugene. I'll say it again. When Linda Moulton Howe is on Coast to Coast, she is robotic and hard, but when she's off the cuff, she is much more likable." And he's absolutely right. And what he's trying to say, and what I was referencing to when Linda was on this show, both times, where she's not reporting, she's not giving her report. When she's here, she's totally cool and
well,
likable.
That's that gift that you were given.
No.
No, let me compliment you. Let me compliment you.
Oh, stop. Stop.
Just accept it like a man and say thank you.
Okay, all right. I'll take it like a man. I don't mean to interrupt. You're the guest in my house. Go ahead.
No. That's all I had to say.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I am the guy that's sitting here. Okay, I can dig it, but and I can appreciate that. But if you approach it right, anybody could come in here and sit here for 3 hours. It's just the same thing as if, Linda or you or anybody is in my living room kicking back and talking. That's all this show is.
It takes a little courage to have that vision. Remember Elise was talking about vision? It takes a little courage to have the vision to depart from, what everybody gives you permission for. So you've got to take credit for that.
Well, certainly the easy way out, the cop-out. The cop-out would be, okay, what do you want to talk about? Send me the names of your books. Give me your website. Give me a little bit of your background, and hand me 20 questions that you want to discuss on the show tonight. Well, okay, then anybody could do that show. Now you're back to a CNN talking head, with a teleprompter. And certainly that's the easy way out. I did choose the more difficult path, but also for me would be the easier path. Every guest, early on in the show, they would, because they were so used to dealing with other radio shows and other media, would present me with 20 questions. And I said to them, look, I know you sent this to me, but it means nothing, because I'm not going to ask any of these. Well, what do you mean? This is what I want to talk about. That's not what I want to talk about. Right. That's not where I want to go. It's not going to happen.
Well, actually, it's very refreshing for the guest, I think. I mean, I was thinking, I don't do a lot of radio shows. As a matter of fact, this is the first one that I can remember. But I did do some preparation. I sent you some material simply because that's sort of the procedure. But when you said, look, we're not going to do it that way, I thought, well, okay, that makes sense, And I having listened to your show before, especially, as I said, the one with Richard Dolan, where I thought, he was so relaxed and so cool, and you guys just kick back. I thought that's really a cool way to do radio.
Well, the thing is we can get that type of show anywhere. You can go, there's tons of podcasts, there's all of that, live radio, you can go and listen if that's what you want. If you want the status quo, you can go and do that. Quite frankly, it's boring to me. And what is interesting is I want to talk about your mom. I want to talk about your family. I want to talk about what makes you tick. I want to find out if you're cool. I want to find out all those things. I want to say this in a strange way, but it's really true. If I'm sitting on my couch with you, I'm not going to have questions in front of me sitting on the coffee table. You know what I mean? And that's that. If there's a way to get that out of you or any guest into a microphone, that's what's cool. That's what's happening. as far as, a step short of maybe, a bong and a beer in front of us. That's, it's about sitting down and talking. Am I making sense?
Yeah, well, we would definitely lose track of the time with the bong and the beer.
Yeah. All right. Hey, check it out. Guess who's calling? Space Boy. Let's grab
right.
Space Boy. All right. Space Boy, tonight, James in the house. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How are you, my friend?
I am so fantastic, and it's always complete once you call. Say hi to Victor.
Howdy, Victor. How you doing, my friend?
Good, Space Boy. I love your music.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, I know this is going to be quick. Y'all are talking about the casualness of the conversation. Basically, it's Jimmy saying, hey, let's sit on the couch and we'll have a conversation and everything. But I'm afraid that nobody's asked you the ultimate question tonight, Victor, and I'm about to ask it. So are you ready for this?
Yeah, okay, bring it. I'm curious.
Okay. What did you have for breakfast, Victor?
I think it was oatmeal, raisins, and walnuts.
Oh, my goodness. That's exactly what I had out in Contact in the desert. And I don't think it ended very well.
Yeah.
You got to cook it yourself,
Oh, that is brilliant. That is just brilliant.
New age oatmeal is much different from Texas oatmeal. It's a little bit different. But hey, I'm looking forward to checking out your film. And Jimmy, I love you, man, and just keep up the good work.
Hey, thanks for that question. But seriously, do check out the film. It is. I got halfway through it, and I can't wait, for the end. But the thing is, and for everybody out there, I want everybody to check it out. And I'm serious. It's one of those things where you're watching the opening few minutes of the film, and you suddenly realize this is made for us. This is made for us. This is good stuff. Hey, thank you, Space Boy. All the best, my brother.
Have a great one, y'all.
You too. Thanks, Space.
Yeah. See you, Space Boy.
All right, let's jump into the next call. Let's keep it. I've been ignoring these calls, and I kind of feel bad. So let's just go into it. You're live with Victor Goss on Fade to Black. Who's calling? Where are you calling from?
This is Steve from Bluefield, Virginia.
How you doing tonight, Steve?
Doing good, man. How are you?
It's another great night and another humbling evening. Thank you. And what have you got for Victor tonight, Steve?
Victor, in the film industry, how much do you all talk about the presence of UFOs and just life out there? Is that a topic that comes up much in the film industry? Like if you're on set, is that something that you all discuss very much?
Well, no, except for one notable exception. I was mentioning that I did this show called Gabriel's Fire with James Earl Jones. And, we worked together 2 years. And, in our off moments on the set with our chairs, we actually had chairs on that show. We sat next to each other and talked all the time. And the topic was always UFOs. So that's one exception. He had a really interesting experience because he did the film Interrupted. I forget the name of the film, but it was from Interrupted Journey by John Fuller, and he played Barney Hill.
I think it was called the Betty and Barney Hill story.
You're right. You're right. That's what it was called.
Yeah.
And it was quite a while ago. It was like early 60s or something like that. And so he got an opportunity to spend quite a bit of time with the Hill family. And, he really, as an actor wanted to know who they were, wanted to understand them as emotionally, who their parent, all that sort of stuff that Jimmy was talking about a minute ago. So he really got some insight, but there were some technical people there who were working with them. And I think this was, just after the Project Blue Book days, there were like Air Force people and stuff. He had made contacts that were very, sort of privileged in a way that, you and I probably wouldn't normally have. And he told me, he said, I really can't tell you what I was told, but we're going to find out what they are real soon. That was a few years ago. And, the funny thing is that whether, disclosure, probably is not going to happen with Obama on a microphone in front of a camera. Disclosure has already happened, as one of the callers earlier in the show, or maybe it was the show previous to Fade to Black, was saying that, when Roswell happened, that was your disclosure, baby.
Absolutely. Steve, are you still with us?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I totally agree with you. And disclosure is all around us. Look.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
we're not going to see any president now or in the near future stand in any podium and spill the truth.
I often wonder, and I do this all the time. So, and I'm sure this goes through everybody's mind once in a while. But I'm driving down the freeway and coming over the 405, and I'm driving into LA, and just what if? Like some Independence Day event just happened, just rolled in, and some craft would just appear through the clouds. How would I handle that?
Well, my question is, how would you know that how would you know whether it was ours or something else? That's the first question.
Yeah, I just can't wait for the day that it happens. Hey, Steve, thank you.
Hey, no problem, Jim. Have a good night.
All the best, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
All the best. We're going to roll right into the next one because I know who this is. This is Les, the closer. How are you, Les?
Good, Jimmy. You?
I'm doing good. Say hi to Victor.
Hi, Victor. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Les. How about yourself?
Oh, pretty darn good. Pretty darn good.
Les is going to explain to us what Zug Zug is. What's Zug Zug? Is it? Am I saying it right, Les?
It's Zug Zug.
Zug Zug. See?
Well, Londa wants it to be Zug Zug, but it's Rick came up with the whole thing, and it's Zug Zug.
Okay,
so
well,
Rick's busted. Sorry, Rick.
Okay, Rickson. Okay, so explain to us, what is Zug Zug? Zug Zug.
Oh, you just replace it with any noun or verb. That's it. That's the funny thing of it. We've been doing it all night.
Yeah, I've been watching it all night on Twitter. One of the things, Victor, and I hope that you come hang out with us one night on Twitter and listen to the show, because literally I've never counted, but it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tweets, and watching everybody talk during the show and participate. It is such a cool real-time thing. And so this whole Zug Zug, it's been going there, and I'm like, what is everybody talking about? So, and then I saw, was it Warcraft? There was a reference to Warcraft 2?
Actually, no, you're right. That was last night that Rick said that. Zug Zug is what the orcs say in Warcraft. That's what it is. You're right. You got it before I did. Dang.
Okay.
You're paying attention.
Well, no. Well, see, also, I was never a Warcraft player. I had friends that played Warcraft. I never did the online thing. I was always Diablo, big Diablo guy. I was a huge Diablo guy.
Diablo 3's coming out.
Yeah.
PS3. I can't wait.
I will say this. Hold on. I'm going to. I'm actually tweeting. I'm tweeting in real time on the show, and you can tell I can't chew gum. So, but is this? And I'll tell everybody. I'm not the gamer that I once was, but Diablo messed with my head big time. Now, I was also, I did all of the Lara Croft. I did every one of those. And what was, I'll let Walanda tweet. What was the other, Walanda, what was the other one that we played from beginning to end, all of them? It was about Greece. Oh man,
God of War.
Yeah, God of War. Oh man, big God of War guy. Yeah, it's so funny. I don't know, Victor, if you got into gaming, but I was really into the adventure first person adventure gaming guy. I loved it.
You got me totally beat. I was doing Atari, so.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man.
Hey, I played Atari and Intellivision.
Yeah.
We're all from that era.
Yeah, hey, there's nothing wrong with that scrolling 2D Atari Mario. Ooh,
it was pretty damn good. It kept us up to midnight.
Yeah, oh man, I was really
or later.
Well, I started off like everybody else, man. I did Asteroids and Missile Command. and graduated and went through all of that stuff. I had Genesis. I did all of that.
Yeah, I got a cop to it. We did Grand Theft Auto.
Oh yeah, Grand Theft Auto.
We had the steering wheel and the whole cockpit and everything. It
Well,
really got out of hand.
You know what I did? I'll admit it right now. I did Gran Turismo 1, 2, and 3. Had the steering wheel. I had the analog steering wheel controllers, and I was a big Gran Turismo addicted guy.
Nowadays, there's leaderboards, and you can be racing somebody in Europe or Japan or Korea or wherever or Russia. It doesn't matter. Now you can do it anywhere.
Kid is all upset with you, Les, or with Space Boy saying you jacked my question. Damn it! You did the what did you have for breakfast? That's the running joke around here, Victor. That I'll ask anybody anything. So that's
well, Victor, I have one question for you.
Yeah, go, Les, go.
Have you ever seen a UFO? What's your experience?
That's interesting. I've had 6 different sightings. Two of them with my wife. So I'm not just crazy by myself. No, actually, they were very interesting. Probably the most spectacular sighting that I saw. I was with her, but she was looking. We went up to the top of Lake Kachuma, a really black night, and there were a billion. You could see the Milky Way. It was like awesome. You couldn't speak. And I was watching air traffic come out of LAX, flying to San Francisco and so forth. And then there was this one light that I wasn't sure whether it was an aircraft, and I didn't really look like it, but it was flying sort of straight and level. And all of a sudden, just flared out like a photo flash tube and disappeared. Right?
Wow.
That was the most recent one. That was about 2 years ago. But the most amazing one was when we were moving. We had sold our house. We were in the West Valley of San Fernando Valley of Los Angeles, and we were looking west toward the Burbank Airport. We were actually waiting for escrow to close in our house. So we were just sort of like laying out in the lawn furniture in the backyard, and I saw what looked like, I'm sort of familiar with the photography and, the sort of, sighting descriptions and so forth, what very clearly looked like plasma balls that were over the Sherman Oaks area, which has, by the way, been noted for having seen a lot of those things. Matter of fact, Ashley and I were discussing it, and Ashley has actually seen them right above him, and he was right under where I saw them. They were.
You guys are wearing that for UFOs, I swear.
Yeah. Well, wherever there's military, there's UFOs. So, we're surrounded by military bases in LA, and, out the North Desert there, it's just all military Edwards. And it's funny, when we were out there on the northern tip of Edwards Air Force Base, we were right near Poncho's cafe, from the movie The Right Stuff. That's the town of Boron, where we shot the film on location. That area there is probably it's an area where you would expect to see sightings nightly. Never saw anything out there. So, who knows?
But what exactly did you see over Burbank? Was it?
Okay, it was it was a greenish chartreuse color and a magenta color and a whitish color, glowing spheres that looked like floating balloons. So of course we're looking at them, and they would go up and they would go down, and you could say, okay, well, those are balloons from a party somewhere. But then what happened was that one of them would go down and the other two would go up, and then when 3 of them merged into 2 and then turned into 4, I realized that it wouldn't have been possible to have been something physical.
Wow.
And I was standing there with a camera, but I had 3 or 4 sightings before, and I thought, what's the point of photographing something I've seen 50 times on YouTube anyway, But I was mesmerized by, and I think all people are when they see, unexplained phenomena. They're mesmerized. And I've always had a camera in my hands. I've been a photographer all my life. It's a busman's holiday to take pictures. I'd rather look at something and experience it. That includes, my kid's wedding or whatever, rather than take photographs.
Exactly. I mean, who, even if you do have a camera, if it's your first experience, are you really going to take the time to look for your camera? I mean, I know, people get beat up for that all the time. But if I saw one for the first time, I know I wouldn't be reaching for my camera. I'd be watching.
Yeah, you're stuck in the moment. Adrenaline is pumping, and everybody knows my stories.
And also, there's a sense of transcendence if it's really something spectacular.
Sure, absolutely. And I've seen 3. I photographed 1, and the only reason why that happened was because I was taking pictures with friends at the time, and I had a camera in my hand. But the other 2 experiences, no, didn't and could have. Well, I was too caught up in the moment. I was like, am I really seeing this? And I was with other people both times, and could have, but didn't. So whenever somebody says to me, no, I didn't take pictures. I had my cell phone with me, but I didn't. I had a camera with me, but I didn't. I understand why. I don't look at them like you're goofy or like it didn't happen or what were you thinking? Why didn't you take the picture? I totally get it. I totally get it. I totally do.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
All right, Jimmy.
Hey, Les
Victor,
is the closer. Yeah, thank you, Les. All the best, my brother.
All right. You guys have a great weekend. Bye.
You too.
That was Les. Fade or Not Original. He's OG.
He's the first one?
Somebody tweeted earlier tonight who thought up Fade or Not. I'll say it publicly right now. We got to get that disclosed. It's been lost in the mix now. How this phenomena started. We've lost sight. We do 4 shows a week, and so when there's so much stuff, and it's going back with all the tweets and all the family that we have here. I don't think anybody really knows anymore how it all started. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I totally get it though. Fade or Nots works.
It does, doesn't it? It's there now. Fade or Nots will never change. It has become it's become such a what's the word I want to use? I don't know. Such a what's the word? It's so when you use a word so much that it is normal.
Idiomatic?
There you go. Idiomatic?
It's definitely idiomatic. Yeah.
Hey, Victor, thank you for staying with us all night, and it was great. Now you've experienced this show. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Thank you. This, it's been my honor, and I'm really proud to be a Fade or Not at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get you a patch.
Okay.
All right. All the best.
Yes, and I have a lot of appreciation for how much work you do. It's an immense job.
No, thank you, Victor. Again, everybody go see Apocalypse According to Doris. The links are up. Just go click on Victor's name. It'll take you over. Go do it. Go watch it. And again, thank you. I can't say enough. The honor is all mine. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All the best. Victor Goss, everybody. What a show tonight. Thank you. Man, I love Call-In Thursdays. Call-In Thursdays with a guest, even stranger. You got to love it. No commercial breaks tonight. No nothing. No call letters. We didn't do a thing. Tomorrow night. What are we doing tomorrow night? Oh, tomorrow night I'm off. Oh, we're going to next week. See what this show has done. Thank you to everybody. Ingrained, says Michael Anderson. You are 100% correct. And Jeremy, organic. Yeah, I love Twitter. I love this show. Thank you, everybody. Let's just roll credits. Fade to black. I just did 3 hours, no breaks, straight phone calls. All of the new callers that called in. Norick, I'm looking at my list. Dean, Christian, everybody from the movie. Elise, thank you. It was, and everybody's talking about breaking news. There is breaking news, but we can't break it until it's ready to be broken. But we do have something, and hopefully we'll be done this weekend, and we'll announce everything on Monday. We've got a couple of really cool things. Thank you, Victor, and everybody else who called in tonight. Stay tuned. Coming up next is Night Watch, followed by Spooky South Coast with your host, Tim Weisberg. Special thanks to Keith Rowland and Art Bell. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm and Mark D. Kovar. The announcers are Steve Harder and Mark D. Kovar. Music is this guy, Doug Aldrich. Show intro. Oh, what did I see? White snakes on a plane. I saw that today. That was pretty cool. Show intros performed by Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Dark Matter Radio Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'm off for the next 3 days. I will see you on Monday. Chad Meeks. Chad Meek. Tuesday, Jesse Marcel. Wednesday, Don Schmidt. Everybody have a great, safe weekend. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. See ya.